Anti-derivative Jill.
Greetings and felicitations.
Hello, I am Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations, number 60. Today we're reviewing the next original series episode in production order, and it's Wolf in the Fold. And today I'm so happy to have my wonderful friends here, Scotty R37, and hungry for better sci-fi scripts.
Who wants to start by saying Red Jack? Red Jack, Red Jack,
Red Jack, Red Jack, Red Jack.
Nice.
Yeah.
You will all die horribly.
Yes.
Maybe I'll take your oxygen away.
Oh, Piglet.
He has to breathe the fear.
Yes, indeed. And he did a great job. And I got a nickname for him later on. But
sweet.
I love this episode so much.
And now, even though Pop Culture Curator is not here, he's a very dedicated panelist for the show, and I want to wish him well. He said he had an emergency today. I don't know what it was, but I hope everything's okay. And I want to remind everyone also to subscribe to his channel, because tonight he's reviewing Journey to the Center of the Earth, 1959, for Pleasant Valley Pickers' birthday stream tonight. So that should be fun if that's still happening. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it is. And definitely check out Scotty R37's Phantasmagorium show. They're going to you guys are going to review Spider-Man, the Garfield Spider-Man.
Yeah, we're doing The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, hopefully tomorrow if everything goes according to plan.
Well, it tells you a lot about those movies that you're getting them both out of the way at once.
Yeah.
Nice one, Jill.
But always, it doesn't matter how the movie or the show is. The stream is always way more fun.
Well, I hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
And for production of these production notes from these episodes, I will read from 365 Star Trek, the original series by Paul M. Black, Terry J. Erdman, which, of course, Raquel used also on Cloudburn Times. And so, with that said, let's check out Wolf in the Fold, where Scotty gets into a wee bit of trouble, as he calls it, in the Next Generation episode, Relics.
Yes.
And also, I'd like to say hello to the chat. And, Mike, so Mikey Sue's 4 is here. He says he gives this episode an A-. Hooray. And Franco Walker was here first. He got the first like. And Berto Prey 5, Kapla.
Kapla.
He gives it an A+ for a completely hedonistic society. A++ for Bones prescribing a means for Scotty to get over a total resentment towards women. Sex cures resentment, I guess.
Nice.
I know I have such a problem with that part of the thing. We haven't gotten there yet, but yeah.
Jimmy needs a lap dance.
One way to find out. And I don't have a problem with the hedonism. I have a problem with the resentment, but
we get you, Jill.
Resentment. What?
No, it's so funny, but as we always say, the context of the times, the context of the times, and whether society in the 60s liked it or not, psychology and various philosophical adjuncts to psychology had a long way to go. But that's all right.
Yeah, exactly. And Mikey Susie 4 is also here, and thanks for being here, Mikey. And he says Piglet's voice in Winnie the Pooh by John Fielder. Yes. John Fielder does Piglet. And he does a great job here. I agree.
Wonderful point. And hello, Mikey Sue's for.
Yeah, so I watched Winnie the Pooh first. And so encountering Winnie the Pooh on Piglet on Star Trek was quite fun.
It was a bit of a shock, wasn't it, Jill?
It was. Like, well, wait a minute. Because I have an ear for the voices of cartoons.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of us grew up with Piglet first, and so we'll get to that when we get to it.
It's like hearing Pandy Mayonnaise on Orange Is the New Black, but I don't know if anybody cares about that.
I wish I were more familiar. I'm not.
No, Nickelodeon. No, that's not the Nickelodeon crowd here. I need Tony for that. And he says, "Hope I'll be able to explain why." And yeah, absolutely. Your link is in your Facebook Messenger. If you would like to join us, you're absolutely welcome. Just I did also give you a message. You can read that later, but just join us for now. And Franco Walker says, "Cheers. I missed last week's. I was in the arms of a beautiful woman."
That's a damn good excuse, son.
Yeah, delightful.
Absolutely. What a wonderful day or week, hopefully. Oh, and Mikey, that's so sweet. So he says, "So am I every day of my life, Suzanne."
Cheers to Suzanne, whoever you are.
Yeah.
All that I want.
Sounds like a lucky lady.
Oh yeah.
I wish to see her again, but she had to leave. They all do that after a few days. I think I put them off somehow. Oh no, I hope not. She just had to go home. So yeah, exactly. So it's a late start. It's all good. Yes, that's right. We did. There's always a little of a late start because I'm always prepping all the way to the end because I am a procrastinator. And I am not ashamed. Mikey Sue's Four says, "Wife and I have 2 black Persian cats. One's Moonpie and the other is Deja Vu." Wow. Cats are always great.
A kitty person.
And Star Trek is a kitty show, so we'll get to see kitties at the end of this season.
Yes.
Or at least one.
Hello.
Hello, Mikey. Welcome.
Guys, how you doing, Jill? Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Hi, Scotty.
Thank you for being here.
Hello.
I'll turn up your butt mic a little bit so I can hear you. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah,
you are really crackly. You're right.
Yeah, I'm wearing my headphones.
Do you have overlapped cords, Mikey? Because sometimes that causes the crackle. If you want to make sure they're not overlapped, it takes it away.
No, they're not overlapped. No. I have only one cord that's plugged in. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You do sound much better now.
Yeah, we're okay. Okay.
Hooray.
Cool.
And Grella's Random Thoughts is also here. Hello. And also Sean Carter.
Hello, Sean.
Red Jack.
See, it's just fun to say.
I can't resist that, especially when the ship's computer does it. It's like, he goes crazy. The whole thing.
Yeah, so
it was a great special effects, by the way. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I hear that not much change. There was not much change between the remaster and this version whatsoever.
Yeah, I heard that too. I heard that the CGI for when the ship's computer gets inhabited by Jack the Ripper is actually cool. So, yeah.
Well, so I watched the original one. Jill knows that I'm always going to be a pedant, and I'm always going to watch that one when we talk about this stuff. But the thing that I love is most of the horror and the creepiness in this episode is covered by the audio, and a lot of that is just what the actors were bringing to it. I just love it when the voices slow down. Red Jack.
Horror does work pretty well when you can't see the danger, and that is what occurs when.
Oh, I got points on that one, Jill.
Piglet takes over the ship, and you're right. That never gets old for me either. So this episode first aired on December 22nd, 1967. It was written by Robert Bloch and directed by Joseph Pebney. And he's one of the recurring Star Trek directors, which really helps the emotions in this episode shine.
And also, we must add, because Pop's not here, Robert Bloch was the guy who wrote Psycho, so he was all set up to write a scary ep of this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
wow, really? Okay.
And I feel old. Yeah, and I feel old because when this premiered, I was years with months. So I had to wait for reruns. I had to wait 5 to 7 more years before I could watch reruns on TV. It was just, crazy.
Oh, wow. Was it really that bad? You either get it on your little tape recorder right away, or else you don't get to see it again until Star Trek went into syndication. That must have been a pain.
Yeah, until it went into reruns. Yeah. But my dad watched it. He got to watch some of these, and he would just put me in front of the TV, and I just kind of look at it, So
I always love these kind of stories because I never got to watch these in any of Star Trek really when it first came out.
Look at this slide. Look at this slide. This is right here, man. This is what they used to call in the late 60s and early 70s. And my godmother and mother used to tell me about this as she's got a slightly exotic look. And that's like implying someone who's not Anglo, but it's still a little bit beyond the pale for what's acceptable in polite societies in Connecticut and places like Pennsylvania. So she's implying the Middle Eastern Turkish thing, but she's not really that Middle Eastern or Turkish, is she?
But she is doing a belly dance with finger symbols.
Beautiful. And she was actually a professional in doing that. I looked her up a little bit before the show. My mom used to do some belly dancing with finger symbols on occasion.
Very cool. It's a good exercise too.
Very.
But we do have the traditional of its time small jewel or cover up for the belly button because those cause sin.
Right, of course. Although this is clearly shown as a pleasure planet, even they have a problem with showing belly buttons, so you have to have a sticker. Little flower.
What was the name?
A sticker.
Yeah, Jill, what was the name of the planet? I know it's not Risa, but what was the name of the planet they were on?
Argalia?
Argalia, yes.
Argalia, okay.
2. I think it was 2.
Yeah, Argalia 2, right, okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, too much pleasure happened on Argalia 1, and it just collapsed.
Yeah, but when they brought Risa into the fold with TNG, I was very happy. So Risa would have been my ultimate pleasure planet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think by the time of TNG, this planet is part of the Federation.
This part right here is so old Ottoman Empire that even as a kid, I was expecting to see a big old massive hookah in the middle of the room.
A hookah?
Right,
it even goes with the Orion slave girl trade music that happens in the cage when Pike is sitting there with the leering people looking at women because she was green. But
yeah, that's right. This is the first episode of the second season. Just to only use stock music rather. It uses music from Gerald Fried's Cat's Paw and Friday's Child. And at some point, there's supposed to be the Finnegan jig from Shore Leave. Did you hear it? Because it's in there somewhere, apparently. I didn't catch it myself.
Yeah. Isn't it at the end when Kirk is saying you guys are too stoned to go down?
Oh,
literally?
That's it. Yeah. You're right. Okay. But also,
I just love. Yeah, no, I just love Scotty's reaction to that also, where he says, "Let's go see."
But also, don't tell Scotty how to applaud.
Now, no one has to tell an old Aberdeen pub crawler how to applaud, Captain.
Yeah, because he applauds banging on the table instead of using the flicking lights, like you're supposed to do on the planet.
Exactly.
Oh, but this continues the trend that anytime Scotty interacts with a woman, it's a bad time for Scotty. And every time he sees a woman, it seems like it's virtually the first time.
This is the first time he's ever seen a woman, you think? No.
Yeah.
But that's not true,
Yeah.
of course. We know he has.
no,
It's
no.
just that his favorite lady is the Enterprise. And when he goes beyond that, he gets into a wee bit of trouble.
Yeah.
I'd like to compliment the costumes here in a non-salacious way. The costumes here for this opening segment, because with an opening that really kind of defines how much pleasure you're going to get from an episode. It shows how good the writer and director and everyone else is being with the episode, how involved they are. And these are perfect. They're almost like little paintings if you look at them. The amount of work on the color and the lighting and balancing off drab colors with bright colors. This really literally paints a picture and puts us right in the mood for a fantastic, dare I say, Halloween episode.
Right. This is a horror episode when you think about it because of the author who generally writes that way. Franco Walker is making some tea. And Matt G is here. Hi, Matt G.
Matt G.
Also, Admiral Teague is here. That's so great. She's doing a special dance to attract Red
Hello,
Jack.
Admiral T.
Red Jack.
Red Jack. Yeah.
My hello, welcome to my Mac 1 for life. It's Herc 130 on my alternate account. Hey, Herc 130. Okay, now I know to call you that.
Oh, hi, Herc 130. Hit that like. Hail, Herc.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for subscribing, Herc 130, twice to my channel. That's nice.
Yeah, thank you.
And Franco Walker says they show their belly buttons.
On Rise too, yeah. Too racy.
Too
I
racy.
That,
well,
I was like, yeah.
Oh.
Where to pay Horgon?
Good point, Franco.
When you showcase your Horgon, what are you requesting? A Majoran or something?
You're requesting a good time?
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much. I forget what it's called specifically.
Yes.
It's been a while since I've seen Captain Soliday.
It's good enough for me. Well, someone remembers. Enterprise engineers don't do well with live biological women.
Yes.
Do not tell Mark C with a D that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That does carry forth with Geordi. I didn't even think about that. Good point, Bird.
Mm-hmm.
That's
well, hell, it even does. It even does the reverse. It even does the reverse. It even applies to the women engineers because B'Elanna has a rough start with Tom.
Let's not mention Keiko during
the episode. Yes.
Oh
Jamaharan.
Yes. This is the theme on Star Trek.
Do you seek Jamaharan?
Oh, and Scotty did mention that the dance is from the cage, and what happened though is that Fry did make a new track for this episode, but they decided to reuse Venus dance, which is nice.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't mind hearing what Fry came up with.
Yeah, I would have preferred that.
So
new music
so
is
if
always
I remember true. So if I remember correctly, what basically the plot is that Jack the Ripper has his spirit has been traveling through the centuries, the galaxy, and he's been
exactly.
You know,
that's the big reveal in this episode. That is so interesting.
and it's interesting that Spock came across it. And that Spock came across it because he traced all these women's deaths through all the years, and he said, "Wow, that just sounds like Jack the Ripper to me." You know, basically.
Well, the computer figures it out. So you're right, and so that's teamwork between Spock and the computer, and of course they're going to do very well together.
And actually, it was deduction. It was like a Sherlockian, like look asking the right questions for the computer to give the right answers, which then lead to more questions.
And so we get a nice cut to Morla to foreshadow his feelings that we find out about later, and I'm glad we're getting kind of this part is nice where Scotty's going to take a walk with Kara, right? Is it Kara? Kara, yes. I believe it's Kara.
You are correct.
Hooray. But I'm glad we're getting to my least favorite part of the episode out of the way early, because probably the worst part that I feel is pretty strange is that Scotty, for some reason, has a resentment towards all women because one of them made a potentially fatal mistake. And really, you're going to hate an entire gender for the actions of one person? So when a man makes a life-threatening mistake, which has happened already on the ship several times, does Scotty also hate all of men, including himself? No.
Yeah.
Why? Because that doesn't make any sense.
I'll be honest, Jill, even as a kid, as a grade schooler, that bugged me too, simply because of the illogic versus logic of it. There was no logic to that statement. And therefore, as a child, I was scratching my head going, okay, I'm just going to put this aside. The episode's going to pick up.
Right, and it does. And so it's an enjoyable episode overall, but just that one little thing that they wanted to shove that in there to bring up the believability that Scotty could commit something like that.
It felt like a production note that was given to the writers that they had to add at the last minute, quite frankly, in retrospect. But as a kid, it's just like a jarring note in a song that's perfect, and suddenly there's one bum note, and you're thinking, like, you can't enjoy the song for a moment, but then you get past it, right?
Right, exactly. The show continues, and lots of other positive elements bring it up.
So, Jill, but if Jill, I had a question for you. When you first saw the episode for the very first time, were you offended by what he said about resentment toward women at that point?
I just couldn't believe that Scotty would come up with that kind of reasoning. As I couldn't believe that he'd become a serial killer of women in general, even if he got a smack on the head.
And Bump was backing up in this scene. I mean, what the hell?
But I ultimately just dismissed
were offended by it. Some women were offended by it, Scotty. They were. They absolutely were.
No, a lot of people, I run into a lot of people who get offended about a lot of things. This was not one of them for me. I just sort of dismissed it. And I was like,
I don't say the word offend. I wasn't offended. It was just weird and it doesn't make sense.
Illogical.
Illogical.
Yeah, it's out of character.
More like but I do like how this scene mentions the sex without actually talking about it. It's very classy about it.
Yeah.
Could I mention something here, Jill, that's feeding into the episode for later? Because it's foreshadowing. You know I love the foreshadowing. You know I love the subtext. You know those are my two things to harp on. But right here, they're really looking. They're feeding the reader information that will be making the episode more pleasurable. Bad pun. Pleasurable later, because this is all feeding into what was going on in Whitechapel at the time with Jack the Ripper. You've got these opium dens, you've got the prostitution or implied prostitution, and then you've got the closed little streets and alleyways with the smoke and the fog. And this also feeds into what was going on with Hammer Horror Studios at the time. And this is feeling very Hammer Horror Studios to me, where you've got the smoke, the fog, the checking out the body, and then you got the beautiful upshot of Scotty holding the knife. And it was almost as if the American television studios were looking at the success of Hammer Studios going, we can take a little bit of that for ourselves and make it work.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. And as you mentioned, in terms of it being a Halloween episode, if you put this shoulder to shoulder with Catspaw, this is superior.
Oh, that's what my friends used to do, Scotty. That's what we used to do. Yes.
The double feature?
And that's amazing because it was written by the same person. So it makes sense to put those episodes together, right?
Makes total sense.
And I do like how you tying this in for me in terms of the history of Jack the Ripper. I know basically he was a serial killer, but that the environment kind of matches.
Oh, no, this very much matches, Jill. This very, very much matches on a whole bunch of levels that I won't go into a whole bunch of details because otherwise we're never going to get through this. But it is corresponding very much to a lot of people in the late 1800s would go to London in order to get a couple things they couldn't get elsewhere, if you know what I mean.
But that's what the starships are doing too. They got to go to shore leave, and they've got the same thoughts on their minds even in the 23rd century. And
I just want to say one thing real quick. You mentioned Catspaw. So
yes,
what I found out in my research was that they use the same breed of cat, a black cat, which I own 2 of them, in Catspaw in this episode Annie Gary 7. That was the same cat from
Nice.
Cat Spa.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad the cat got work twice.
He did. He did about 4 episodes.
That's great.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, that's what I found out though about the cat. Yes, it's so cool.
That is pretty cool. And Canadian Spider-Man's also here. Hello, Spidey.
Hey,
he
Spidey.
says it's such a good episode.
Hello, Spidey.
And Herc130 says, I started an automotive channel that is about restoring a Mustang. I just stayed on this account when I saw Jill go live. Hooray,
cool.
That's sweet. And so, of course, we see the first murder of Kara. Well, we hear it, but we see the result of it, and we see Scotty standing with the knife.
Very tastefully done. Very tastefully done.
It becomes more graphic when Yeoman Karen.
Yeah.
Well, you see more of the stabbing.
Yes.
Lieutenant Karen. Yeah.
Is it Lieutenant? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it is Lieutenant Karen Tracy.
This is the first "she's dead" Jim line in the episode, and she was stabbed a dozen times. That's a lot of stabbing.
Well, that also goes back to the Jack the Ripper thing, Jill, because one of the things that was so shocking to Edwardian, not Victorian, Edwardian London was the brutality of the murders, and that generally people, if you're going to kill someone, you generally go for about 3 strikes and that's it. But the fact is there were so many knife wounds and so much damage done to the women by Jack the Ripper that it was beyond the pale. Totally beyond the pale. So Robert Bloch is showing a lot of respect to actual history, and that it just makes more goosebumps. You know what I mean?
Oh, I get it. Yeah. So the gratuitous nature of his murder spree was captured in this episode in a way that wasn't too horrific, but was just.
It was spoken of, but not
enough.
Yes.
So this is the first time we see John Fiedler in the middle there between Bones and Kirk. Was he the Governor General of the planet? I forgot.
Administrator. The title was administrator.
Right.
Okay. And they said that they imported administrators because they were nice, lovely, fubsy people, and they weren't that good at administrating themselves.
Yeah, right. So the planet is already saying that it's not very good at laws, and it demonstrates it by having some pretty, admittedly, by the leader himself, barbaric laws still on the books.
Well, this is where I anticipated a Scotty comment, and I thought, we're very good at making you curl your toes, but we can't do our taxes properly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
right. I was going to say,
Hungry,
Jill,
could you read the Captain's log?
Did you want to call him Administrator Piglet from now on?
If you like, you may. Please.
I'll have another nickname for him later. But yeah, did you want me to read the Captain's log, Jill? Is that what you were saying?
Yes, please.
Captain's log.
Go ahead.
Starting 3614.9. Planet Argelius 2. While on therapeutic shore leave, Mr. Scott has fallen under suspicion of having brutally murdered an Argelian woman. The chief city administrator, Mr. Hengist, has taken charge of the investigation, but has learned little of value.
And so this is where we meet who is presented as the insufferable bureaucrat in the episode. And that's really a great way to sidetrack the audience away from considering him as the culprit at first until later.
Yes.
Until later when we get closer and closer to him. No, well, we already did spoil it at the beginning. So the director for the episode is so great. That much of the best parts of the episode, I figure you guys have seen it. Much of the best parts of the episode is how he captures the emotions of the actors, including Scott's horror when he believes that he couldn't kill.
Oh, sorry, Joel. I just wanted to add here, if you notice, Hengist's outfit is very correspondent to a mid-60s, early 60s corporate suit. And by that point, the term suit with a capital S was already used for pencil pushers, money men, etc., who would get in the way of a good time. So he is the suit in this episode.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so that gives us visual of his character. Thank you.
Subtext again, visual subtext. It's the hobby horse of my life.
And here I'd like to read from the 365 book about this. Wolf in the Fold was the last of Robert Bloch's trilogy of Star Trek stories to be produced. Although it originally aired before his Halloween-inspired tale, Cat Spa. Bloch's penchant for revisiting favorite themes once again influenced his choice of subject matter. This time around, it is the lone psychopath who leaves a trail of murdered women in his wake. Bloch's short story of the occult, Yours Truly, Jack the Ripper, published in Weird Tales magazine in 1943, had already been adapted as an episode of the TV series Thriller in 1961. But with significant changes, it served as the springboard for an effective Star Trek murder mystery. Throughout his career, Bloch wrote about numerous historical villains, including Marquis de Sade and Lizzie Borden. But Jack the Ripper was clearly a favorite. At first glance, actor John Fielder may not seem like the most likely personage to portray one of history's most infamous serial killers. The actor with the helium high voice is better known for playing such gentle, shy characters as Juror 2 in the classic 12 Angry Men and the diminutive Mr. Peterson on the Bob Newhart show. He also served a 40-year tenure as the voice of Winnie the Pooh's best friend, Piglet, for Walt Disney. And yet, his appearance here is not casting against type. There's method to the madness. Mr. Heinz is a simple administrator holding a less than glamorous job, pure John Fielder. When Hengist is possessed by a bloodthirsty entity, Rajak, he one suspects that it was much a treat for the actor to perform double duty as it is for the audience to watch him. And I agree with that, although it's not my words, so I read it kind of weird.
So Jill, is it Field? Is it the last name Fielder or Fiedler?
I think it's
It may be Fiedler. It's Fiedler. I have trouble with pronunciation because I only read.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. The reason why I asked was because
how do you pronounce it again? I already forgot. Fiedler?
Fiedler.
Fiedler.
Growing up, we used to watch The Wonderful. I just that's the one that stood out to me. Yeah, that's the one that stood out.
Yeah,
to me.
he is a standout actor in this episode.
Because I knew Sterling Holloway was Winnie the Pooh. Yeah.
I don't.
And that's.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say again, as a visual artist, if you look at what he's doing here, because he's mainly known as a voice actor. Yes, he was in 12 Angry Men, and I love that original version of that. I like both versions of it. But what he's doing here with his face, the little expressions, the twinkle in the eye, it's already setting us up to doubt his character, but we don't have the evidence yet to fully say, oh, no, you're a wrong'un, as Raquel would say.
Well, yeah, that's why I like the fact that they set him up as one of the bureaucrats that are in the way, because that makes him seem like any other, like a bad admiral kind of thing, but just but instead
a bad apple,
a bad administrator, whatever.
Well, and again, just did they specifically say how long it's been since there's been a murder on Argelius too?
No, they never said how long it's been, but what they did say was that 200 years beforehand, they had adopted their Fubsy hippie cultural program.
Yeah, that's right. And
the Great Awakening.
The Great Awakening. The thing is that Scotty can't remember having this knife. He got a hit on the head recently. I'm sorry. I stepped on whatever.
My apologies. Sorry, Joe.
And it's cited several times in the episode as a possible reason for his amnesia. Although that's the computer helps us with that and sees that we see that's not true.
Later on.
They do. Anyway, Kirk is going to follow Argelian law because they're on that world, which is a sign of respecting their culture. Although the problem is Argelian law still has torture on law in its books. But that doesn't stop him from defending his friend. And
not necessarily just torture. The person convicted of murder will be tortured to death.
Slow death.
Slow torture to death. Yeah, these guys are really nice until they're not.
Okay.
Scott is going to suffer a slow death. Okay.
Hey, wait a minute, Mikey. Do you have your headphones on?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. I do hear an echo.
I do. Yes. Oh, sorry. No, I do. I can hear you guys.
I can
Okay.
hear you. You
I
seem
can
Can you
hear
hear
you
me
too.
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I was just hearing the echo. I was just wondering.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I
I
can
can
hear you
you.
now.
Definitely.
Have you
Which
considered
is
changing
okay.
your long distance plan?
Oh,
It's jokes. It's
I
jokes.
can't
I have
do
no
that.
authority.
and
I can't.
the law of Argalius is love.
Yeah, that's what San Francisco said.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what they said?
And this is while he's soft spoken, I do enjoy this actor, and he does sort of, oh yeah, he's got to be the bad guy. So I do like Jarrus as he shows up with his goatee and his wee beady eyes. A man in power taking advantage of these women's. Again, we have this. We have the diminutive.
Wow, I
piglet
didn't
voiced,
even hear that.
Diminutive piglet voiced administrator just following the rules and sort of hapless, not knowing what to do, even being urged on by Kirk. It's like, well, don't just stand there, man. Get on to it. Get on with it. And then I'm like, yeah, no, Jarrus is probably just sitting back and waiting. And as we see, we get Sibo, who looks oddly Vulcan without the ears. Very
Yeah,
Well,
severe.
she's also what they used to use the term in the 60s and early 70s, exotic. And so it's kind of like an implication of an interracial marriage without directly saying, and it's an interracial marriage, which goes into the whole situation, again, that was going on with London during the Edwardian times.
Yes.
And
she's
also,
a medium. And she's a medium.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. She's she's a descendant of the ancient priestess of Argalia, so she has the gift to engage in empathic contact.
Yeah.
So another character who can sense emotions. So another prelude to Betazoids, maybe.
And also,
yeah,
this was
that's what I thought. Empathic. Right.
This was happening with Hammer horror films a lot. They would have psychic mediums, or they would have the wise woman, I won't say which, but the wise woman of the village. And so this was a nod to what was going on at the time, because a whole bunch of psychedelic stuff mixed with metaphysics was happening in the 60s at the time. And so bringing her in with this empathic stuff was almost like a metaphor for the supernatural or the occult, which was perfect for a scary episode.
Yes, and it gives a fantasy element to the Star Trek show, but so that they balance it, they bring in something called the psycho tricorder, which is supposed to be used to record at least 24 hours of regressive memory. So if they have a machine that can read what you've thought about the past 24 hours, why do they need, what do they need Troy for in TNG? Anyway, that's just an aside. And
I don't know.
Well, not all ship's counselors are empathic or psychic.
That's true. Hello to Not Brian. So of course, it was more of a joke than anything.
Hi, Not Brian.
Fair.
And hello to Dalek 451. Hey,
Dalek.
And
hello.
Also,
Dalek.
Yeah, it's Dalek. Hey, we always like seeing him.
Exterminate.
Very nice. Jim's Landscape is here. Hello, Jim. And Darius Munchausen.
Hey, Darius Munchausen.
Don't worry about it if you can't pronounce it.
Boy.
I can. It comes from the movie The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Nice. That was a great one. Yeah.
And Dalek says, I really need to watch the rest of this series. Haven't watched any episode in months. Oh yeah, definitely get to finishing it. It's definitely great. Even season 3 has some good stuff.
Dalek, get out of your cave and watch these episodes.
Or get back in your cave.
On.
Stop going outside.
Or get back in your cave.
It's Dalek.
And
Never
go
do.
outside.
It's Dalek. Sorry, Dr. Rootman here. It's Dalek.
Tomato. Some say Dalek, some say Dalek.
Oh, and yeah.
No. Bad, Michael. Bad.
So Jarrus tries to threaten closing the port to this planet, but I feel like that's kind of an empty threat because the Federation is probably providing a lot of protection and resources to this planet, and I don't know that it would be able to stand up against it when it's such a peaceful world that doesn't. A lot of characters or don't engage in violence, so they kind of need each other.
So on one hand, Starfleet and the Federation are a benevolent entity, but if you try and restrict access to your spaceport, you're not going to be able to stand up against the Federation and Starfleet?
I never said that, did I?
Okay. No, you just said it's an empty threat because they wouldn't be able to stand up. It's like, come on, you Argelians, really? You're going to go up against us?
I was just saying.
Okay.
If I mean, it's not that I'm sure the Federation would come if there was a distress signal from the planet, but by keeping the port open, you're going to have more Federation ships coming around to more easily protect them. And if they didn't keep that resource, that trade open, then they might be subject to more attacks from other planets. Not that the Federation wouldn't come to help if they called.
Exactly. And this is a point where when I was rewatching it, where I heard Scotty in my head, and I heard Scotty saying, yes, strategic importance of a spaceport. I can just imagine the binary power dynamic of war and space hookers. It's so important.
Port in the storm, my dude.
Well, maybe you understand that part more than I do.
This is of vital importance. We cannot lose the Argelius port. Why? Tail. We need space tail.
There's Chief Piglet. I'm going to call him Chief Piglet because the Angus thing is really hard for me to pronounce.
Well, he's getting so obnoxious here, and this is a dad joke, that at this point in the episode, when Hengist is talking, he's gone from Piglet to a weasel at this point.
That's true.
So I'm going to call him Pig Weasel from now on.
Pig Weasel. Okay.
Sounds good.
And so Scotty, McCoy suggests that Scotty has hysterical amnesia when a man feels guilty about something too terrible to remember. He blots it out of his conscious memory.
Now, is this Lieutenant Karen?
This is Lieutenant Karen.
Lieutenant Karen Tracy.
Lieutenant Karen Tracy. We see her briefly. That is the only really good shot we get of her.
I saw he picked an eye in her too. Yikes.
And Scotty does a really great job of looking absolutely terrified that he might have done what they say he's done. And they keep playing up his head injury to explain the potential behavior because the writer knows the audience would never believe Scotty could do this normally. So they're trying to make it seem like there's some kind of physiological, medical reason for this.
But even rewatching this, I thought it was hilarious. And it was like, all right, we have a potential murderer and this unarmed woman. Please step into the completely empty room where there are no exits. All right. Yep. Let's run with that. But again, it's not just the audience who doesn't believe that Scotty's capable of this. It's Kirk and McCoy as well.
Yes. And also apparently Nancy Crater's scream from the man trap is reused for Kara's scream when she's killed.
Wow. So now, like you said, this lady who's like probably a early form of Betazoid, an empath, she's trying to get her impressions from the knife, trying to understand if it was actually Scotty or if it's some other kind of entity that used it. So that's what she's trying to do.
Right. And things aren't going well for Scotty when that happens. And again, they beat into us about Scotty's head injury in case they think we might have forgotten the head injury from the last scene where they mentioned the head injury, because they're going to mention the head injury quite a bit.
Did you guys hear about the head injury? I hear Scotty got a head injury. He's got a concussion, a Caucasian concussion.
He did. He got a concussion. He got severely beaten across the head. Was that the old boyfriend here? And then some other guy.
Oh, the old boyfriend. Yes, that's him.
The old boyfriend, that's him. Yeah.
Oh, this guy. Oh, Morla. Okay. So we have the musician who is the dad of the murdered dancer, but Morla, he looks like a 1913 Ottoman Turk, which works with everything else that's going on. But Morla looks like an extra from Bonanza with a General Hospital haircut, and he's wearing a gypsy outfit, which oddly works as well. But they're so different.
Yeah. So right,
and I don't
Morla
know
designs.
Go ahead, Joe.
Morla denies committing the crime because, despite being a jealous lover, because he's never done anything violent ever, and then
I said the father looks like Cyril Mostel. Yeah, he does. Look at it.
So, yeah.
Even you agree. Come on. Yeah, I was just saying. The first thing I thought when I saw him was like a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. And
I don't mean. I love your input, Mikey.
Yes, thank you, Mikey.
Thank you.
Then the room is sealed so they can have a seance, even though they still have the psycho tricorder. When is McCoy going to pick that up to try to use it or read whatever was on it that Karen read?
Hey, Jill, is that overkill? Yes. Is that overkill using the psycho tricorder and a medium, an empath? That's an overkill.
I think it would. What I think it is because I don't know for sure. This is just a guess on my part. I feel like Gene Roddenberry might have put the psycho tricorder in there because of all of these supernatural elements that he wanted to balance with some science fiction. And I don't really know for sure because we never know which part Gene wrote, but we do know that he worked a bit on the script.
He did.
Well, and considering the nature of this planet and what their primary culture is described as in terms of hedonistic and whatnot, why do you have like an immediate button to seal all exits?
I don't know.
Oh, right. And these cool
just for immediate privacy.
switches.
It's all right. We're gonna. Yeah.
Good point. Good point, Scotty.
It is a good point. And why would it be in the center console there?
I don't know. And why is it electronic? I thought seances were supposed to be natural, but in this case, it's assisted by technology. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. You know, and I've been to 1 or 2 seances, and they don't make any sense. So
they don't. Okay, so Darius acts seance in Star Trek. Well, that's what it seems to be anyway. They don't ever use that word, but that's what it feels like.
It is a seance, and again, it's very much like the horror movies of the time. Seances were really coming back in the mid '60s to the very early '70s, and you even got one in a film called The Manitou with Tony Curtis, and
that's a good one.
That's a good one, yeah. But I mean, I could totally roll with this because we only have 48 minutes of screen time for the 1960s. So we couldn't really explain why the seance was in the way that we're talking about it right now. But the fact is we needed one.
Yeah, because
because otherwise we could not carry through with the occult / science fiction nature, as we're going to learn of later.
Well, sure, no, but that occult is balanced out immediately right here with Spock saying we need to use our computers to figure out the truth. So there is that balance between the supernatural and the science fiction in this episode, and I do appreciate that.
I'm agreeing with it 100%, Joel. Yes.
Also, hello to Snortapoopus Cuber in the chat.
Hey, Poopus.
Hey, Snort. Hey, Snort. Yeah, you know what this is. To me, okay, when I understood it better, and I watched a lot of reruns of these episodes, when I understood it better, to me, it was like a form of pseudoscience. You had to use some occultism, you had to use some science technology. That's what I said. I called it pseudoscience. It was just a mixture of the two.
I agree, but also to respect Jill, who always goes back to what is stated in the script and what the characters speak. Jill's very good about that, and I really admire that. Kirk, about 10 minutes earlier, said that we have to roll with the laws and the dictates of this planet and this culture. And this is a part of the laws and dictates culturally of their culture. So the seance actually has to happen because of what was set up in the script about 5 minutes ago.
Right, for respecting the laws of the culture. That's true. And Darius Munchausen says, Jill remembers the line in my original song. Yes, I did. I did recite it. Thank you for noticing. And Dalek says, you Americans always get the name wrong. It's not Gaelic. It's Dalek.
I tried to help you, Dalek. I tried to help you, but
oh, burn. Okay.
Just a brief aside. I remember when I volunteered at a Comic-Con, and instead of writing out Doctor Who, DOCTOR, I just put DR dot who, and someone came over and they were like, "You idiot, leave." And I was like, "No, I didn't know that was before."
I think I've done that too because I'm not. Anyway.
Yeah, but we rectified our situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I mispronounce things all the time, so I can't judge.
Okay, guys, you're not Doctor Who fans. You're not British, and being Australian, technically I'm British because we're part of the whole empire thing. Okay, you always get dispensation for pronouncing it wrong because it's not your show. You never cared about it. You don't care about it. You can say it however you like, but me and Dalek will always pronounce it right. That's just our little persnickety bibbity boppity boo. That's our problem. Okay.
Well, yeah, and I don't mind being corrected.
The Derlicks.
But I don't say it wrong because I am a Dalek 451 fan.
This is true. I enjoy Dalek.
Franco Walker says, good idea. Put Scotty in a room alone with a woman while he's suspected of killing a woman. Yes, exactly what Scotty R37 said.
Well, and it's kind of funny, though, but before they put him in the room, I felt so bad for Scotty, who is obviously the resident alcohol aficionado, and he's the only one who is not offered a drink, because, of course, he is accused of murder. But I've never felt so bad for Scotty before, because he's the only one.
It's weird, yeah, he doesn't get a drink until after he ostensibly is charged with killing Karen, and then he gets some kind of stimulant drink. Herc 130 says Charles
Deercup
Marla was a great character. He was the bodyguard for Doyle Lonergan. Robert Shaw in The Sting. We share the same birthday, September 11th, just 33 years apart. Wow.
Nice.
My brother's birthday is September 11th. He was born in 1967, around the time this was made.
See, I would take Morla.
Yeah,
all I get is
my
Rod
brother
Stewart.
says that too.
Great comment, Franco Walker. Why didn't Spock just mind meld with Scotty?
I was going to say that, Franco.
There you go.
Because then there's no rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you could still do it. You could still do it because they basically do the mind meld through the computer anyway. It's just a different.
Wow,
good point. Yeah, so and when that kind of thing happens, we realize we're watching something different from Star Trek, which is something that actually Hungry actually likes about this episode.
Yes, I do.
Dalek 451 says you're a fan of mine.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we get the seance.
I like the candle. Yeah, I like the candle in the middle. That brings it back to the old world style, and I like that. So that means a lot to me, seeing that candle.
Fear leads to anger.
Ahead,
anger leads to hatred.
Right.
Hatred leads to suffering. Yes. Yes.
Yes. There is something here, something terrible. I feel its presence. Fear, anger, hatred. Anger feeds the flame. There is evil here, monstrous, terrible evil, consuming hunger, hatred of all lives, hatred of women, a hunger that never dies. It is strong, overpowering, an ancient terror. It has a name, Baratus, Kelsa, Red Jack, devouring all life, all light, a hunger that will never die. Red Jack, Red Jack. And then
lights.
Then the lights go out. She screams.
There's evil here, consuming, a hunger that never dies.
And the flame goes out.
Well, the other thing I really like right here with this that chilled me as a kid, and you have to understand that I was raised a little bit Catholic, shall we say, a little bit Catholic, is when they say Barabbas, it sounds like Barabbas, who in ancient history was a mass murderer, and so that's a nice touch on Robert Bloch's part.
Nice, yeah, that is cool.
Oh wow. Yeah, and of course the Scotty is seen
holding the lady
with the blood on his hands and the knife again. And the knife in her back. And at this stage, even Captain Kirk is starting to question whether Scotty's done this.
Look at that posture. Kirk is just like, okay, I am sick of this crap by now.
Yeah.
I love that posture. I love Shatner as an actor. I cannot stand the Shatner detractors. I can't stand them. He is a gorgeous actor. He did a whole bunch of stuff before Star Trek, a whole bunch of stuff after Star Trek. And this would have been a fairly difficult role for him to do, because just in terms of enjoyment, because it's not really the stuff that he sought out to do, even though he did do a little bit of horror and sci-fi stuff in black and white television before this. But I think he excels in this episode.
He did Twilight Zone.
He did Twilight Zone. He also did, it was either Chiller or Thriller. I think it was Boris Karloff's Thriller. And he even did a film for Roger Corman way back when. And the guy's just got full range. And speaking of range, look at Pig Weasel. This is totally against type for him.
Yeah, even though Kirk is questioning things, he is still defending Scotty, trying to figure out what may be wrong with him in terms of his physical state.
But what I like about it is that Chief Piglet is subtle. I mean, it's like he's like a tiger crouching in the bushes. He's just kind of there, but he's poised, he's crouched, he's ready to strike. Again, you can feel it. You can just feel it off him. And until you find out he is the person. But
right, exactly. If he were in charge, he would have just condemned Scotty, but luckily we have Jarrus here who will allow Kirk to use his starship to figure out what really happened.
Right.
So they're going to the Enterprise.
Where do machines do this? Barbaric and horrible. That wall's never been changed. Oh boy.
Yes, we do find out that this peaceful world has a law to employ death by slow torture.
Yes.
And so they say that they even admit it's barbaric, but that they're going to use it.
Well, they have to respect their laws.
Their own laws. Well, yeah, the leader is respecting his own laws that are still in the books. They haven't been changed.
Well, also, Jill, because you point out inconsistencies in other areas of Star Trek, like TNG and DS9, there is going to be one inconsistency here where we're expected to go, oh my God, okay, so the hippies used to have a barbaric law 200 years ago that's going to be employed now. And we're supposed to not like that. But when we get to the episode, no spoilers, Piglet is a body that is possessed by Red Jack, okay? And then Kirk decides to do something rather barbaric to that body that is possessed.
Yeah, he does. You're right. And Scotty R37 came to that conclusion last night too.
But
so,
I would like to reel that in just a little bit, because when Kirk does punch Hengist in the face, it does effectively kill him, thusly eliminating Hengist from any responsibility whatsoever. I think that Red Jack has sapped his body life. He does not have the will to live. He's animated by Red Jack himself.
Oh,
yeah,
so
that's right.
But the solution. I'm sorry, but what I was going to say, but the solution that Kirk comes up with makes him judge, jury, and executioner. So we'll wait on that.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah, that just
we could skip to it if you want to, since we're already talking about it.
As far barbaric as you can go.
But if an alien entity captures the computer with a threat to kill everybody on board, and you can only capture it in its sedated body, are you going? What are you going to wait for?
Sure.
What do you want to do instead?
I understand, Scotty, but to me at that time, well, let's just get to it. We'll tell you. I'll tell you later.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, no, this is quite. This is one of those things where if we start talking about it, we got to talk about it, and so we're going to talk about it. I just got to get to the parts way later in my notes where right.
Sure.
And so in the end of the episode, Captain Kirk ends up carrying out Argalian law by sentencing Jack the Ripper. So of course we know Piglet is Jack the Ripper. Everybody knows this. This is Hankus is possessed by Jack the Ripper. And Captain Kirk does end up sentencing Jack the Ripper to a slow and torturous death, and so he ends up carrying out the Argalian 2 law in that way, and so no, they couldn't allow the energy, but they couldn't. It isn't a very Star Trek thing to do, but they also couldn't allow this energy entity to go around serial killing like this. And I wonder if there aren't any more entities that are like him, in terms of that like to go around doing that kind of thing, feeding on fear and killing and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or love, because that comes up when they're asking the computer about life forms like this, that there was established a creature, non-corporeal creature that feeds on love, so therefore it would be logical to have a creature that feeds on hate or fear. It's brought up in the script. And also, to back up what Jill is saying and other people are saying, Kirk does say at the end, since we're already doing spoilers, that it may take a long time for it to die, but it will die. So yeah, it's a long death.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So we got a long death for the creature. Its consciousness may continue for some time, consisting of billions of separate bits of energy floating forever in space, powerless.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get to that soon.
Yeah. So we're gonna backtrack and go back to the beginning of this. Yes.
Jill, can I ask a favor? When you get to the part where the computer starts saying Red Jack, could you run it just a little bit? I get a kick out of that every time when the computer goes nuts. You know, their ship's computer.
Goosebumps, yes.
Please.
If I can, I will. I don't know. I have.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot to play.
Oh yes, I know the place. Let's go.
I forgot about that one.
Right. That's when Scotty's. But this is pre-murder Scotty.
And this is I forgot to play a couple of my clips.
She's dead, Jim.
So there, I got that one,
and
then I also got this.
Well, of course, I'm trying to save my friend.
Beautiful.
So,
and it's so nice to overlook the behind the scenes stuff when you're watching these episodes and just sort of accept the loyalty and friendship between this crew. I just absolutely love it.
Absolutely. And so they get to this mind reading device. It effectively works like a lie detector, except this one actually works. Although like a real lie detector that doesn't work, this one also checks physiological responses. And it's here. We're on the ship. We know that Uhura and Chekhov are not in this episode, so that's a thing.
Oh, right. That was my complaint for Doomsday Machine.
Working.
Where is
Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scott?
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was really good. You're a great computer.
Oh, thank you.
And so this is a really long, the longest uninterrupted scene in the original series at 15 minutes and 30 seconds. This courtroom hearing is.
Okay.
It takes up
and
a third of the episode.
What Mike was saying, this is very much like 12 Angry Men. This part right here.
Right, exactly.
Working.
And
Subject
so,
recently received severe blow on skull. Yeah, if you let me do the computer, I can definitely do it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Perfect.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, working.
So he says he doesn't
receive severe blow on skull. Sufficient. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's great. I love it.
Sufficient abnormality to account for periods of functional amnesia.
Yeah, exactly, and that shocks everybody that he doesn't
Okay.
have amnesia, even though he's
Right.
still claiming that he can't remember. He explains though that he didn't black out during Cybo's murder, so he was sure he didn't commit that one, and that there was something there blocking his path when he tried to help her.
Yeah.
Something
Something
cold.
similar.
It was
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
stinking draught out of a slaughterhouse, but it wasn't really there. If you know what I mean. But nobody knows what it means.
Oh no, I know what you mean, because this is, for me, even this is like a lead up to the vampiric cloud creature question in a later episode, which I also love. I love all the creepy episodes. But this is where, and I adore this when it happens, and it's like foreshadowing of Event Horizon, Jill, where the science is backing up the metaphysics.
Oh. Well, thank you. And so Hengist starts getting belligerent around this point, saying that everything is a waste of time as they get evidence that is supporting Scotty's innocence and getting closer to finding out his guilt.
Inaccurate data error.
And apparently, this was a stunt hand.
Oh, right, because he's missing a finger.
Right.
That makes sense.
That's right.
And then when we actually do see Scotty, his hand is hanging off of the machine, and I was thinking, hey, how is it detecting whether he's lying or not if his hand isn't even on there? Of course, it's because they're hiding his finger.
His finger.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, that's what happens here, and they try to throw the audience watching this episode by switching to Morley's testimony, but he's quickly dismissed as just being jealous. But he's jealous, and he gets into lots of fights with his girlfriend, but he's not violent. He's not violent like the rest of the planet inhabitants.
Well, it calls into question exactly what relationships are like on Argelius too. Yeah. If it is a hedonistic society, I would assume that there would be multiple partners involved with this, and thusly, if you get married, if you are to be married, there is a certain level of all marriages on Argelius 2 sort of would be open marriages. So you're a strange Argelian, I say.
Yeah, that's right. And he may be just unique in wanting to be monogamous. I don't know.
Ooh,
we don't really
maybe
know.
He's the beginning of a social revolution that brings monogamy to the Argelians. This is a very progressive episode. They come back in weeks and the women are wearing pants.
Scotty, are we doing the hashtag space swingers here?
No. Emancipate Argelians. Hashtag emancipate Argelians.
Yes.
It's the Emancipation Revolution.
So they're gonna do their psycho tricorder analysis, and
You gotta believe me. I wouldn't kill her. I couldn't. I loved her. I loved her, but she didn't. Okay.
I love how Spock is just
wait. Subject,
these crimes of
accurate
passion.
account. Those some statements subjective. Okay. There we go.
yeah, he's a little opinionated, but he's telling the truth.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the part where the computer goes red check, and starts going nuts.
And so this is the part of the episode where they go through the logic of the scenes, talking about the creature that hungers for fear, terror, and death.
And backing up the seance.
Right, showing that there's reality to the metaphysical aspects of the episode.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason for the reality of that is because women are obviously weaker and more prone to fear and terror. So it is a documentary of sorts, sort of showcasing the psychology of the female species. On Argelius, at least. I don't mean to overstep my bounds. Human women, very different.
Scotty, you would make a great psychologist.
You
would. I mean that in all the complimentary ways, believe me.
I appreciate it very much. I apologize for my facetiousness, but it is again one of those of its time comments.
Yeah, exactly. That's a potentially sexist part of the episode.
Potentially?
I don't well, because I don't know if it is a true biological fact that women are more easily frightened than men. There could be a study that could figure something like that out. The only thing supporting it is that we are physically less strong, possibly leading to a fear of danger of physical harm. But while it does seem like we have a more expressive form of displaying that emotion, that could be because just through societal, we're just allowed a little more leeway to cry in public, and as such, it's possible that men are hide their fear a bit more, and since some boys are told don't cry when they're growing up, and that's not something I tell my son. I take it very seriously if he does cry, and I don't tell him how to feel. And it's good for a man though to be brave and true and all of that.
Yes.
But
Jill.
to say that they don't have emotion because they don't show it, I think is a bit preposterous.
Yes.
Yeah, Jill, I just wanted to say something real quick. What I found out is that obviously women are much more intelligent than men in most regards, but I think what the problem is that society perceives them as weak, which is incorrect. And when women realize that society is perceiving them that way, that makes them in fear, which gives them that, it makes them upset, it gives them fear. It's like, hey, I'm an intelligent, sensible, and determined woman, and you shouldn't be afraid of me. And that's how some women feel, because they feel they're afraid, and so
well,
I
also
hope that makes sense.
By choice, the alien has decided to target women. And so I'm just throwing this out there, and maybe Spock's being a little judgmental with his observation, but I'm just thinking that if some timeless energy cloud that reeks of a slaughterhouse has taken control of somebody and is coming at you with a knife, I don't care what your gender is, you're gonna be scared.
Yes, reeks of a slaughterhouse. That was a beautiful script line. And that was specified. It reeks of a slaughterhouse. I don't has any of the panel here actually smelled anything that's been dead for 2 days? Have you?
I did work next to a chicken decapitation center.
It's an awful bloody smell, and it is actually
it wasn't
very
a fun
horrifying.
day. No,
it's an awful smell. So if you're confronted with something that is sensorially very difficult for you to handle, then you have to ask yourself, all right, do men or women have different sensorial perceptions? And there has been some science stating that women, when it comes to an odor or a smell, are more sensitive than men, more sensitive. So
yes, and I do like hearing about studies like that can quantify these types of things, especially if the sample size is very large.
Well, okay, I'll take that compliment, but now I'm going to let you slam me, because I'm going to go Vulcan here for one moment and say, let's do a litmus test. You walk into a bathroom. There's a large bathtub. There is an Australian huntsman spider the size of a male hand in it. Who reacts more badly, a woman or a man?
A huntsman spider, how big is it? It depends on if it's appeared, if it's just there. There will be more of a reaction if I see it out of nowhere, like if it comes out of nowhere.
It'll be the size of a full-grown male hand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not in my house anymore at that point.
Yeah, Roadrunner Clyde. But to be fair, I would respond the same way if I saw a furry face hugger in my bathtub.
Okay, but see me, I'm sitting there going, okay, how do I catch it and put it outside so it can kill the vermin I don't want in my house?
No, but
I'm going Connery from Dr. No with my shoe.
This is more of a this is more of a geographical kind of difference between us, because if I see a normal spider, if I see the spiders I'm used to, I will also want to capture it and send it outside. But if I see one the size of a male hand, I've never seen one like that. I'm not in Australia. I'm getting the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
But don't forget, guys, don't forget that if you're a man that is not, isn't aware if the spider is poisonous or not, I'd probably leave. I would. I mean, if I wasn't sure, like if I hadn't researched it ahead of time and seen the thing for the first time, I'd be out of there myself. I know that. I know my own nature. I'd be gone.
That's right. And
Then come
and
back with a flamethrower and kill it.
And much of the time, I agree completely with that in terms of going for the kill instead of the capture. In terms of being a mother
Exactly.
now, when I used to just be me, I'd take the chance and try to save the creature. But now, when what's more important is my child, I'm just like, I'm not sure if you're poisonous, so you got to go.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Slaughter the spider. Do it, Jill. Do it.
But I do like spiders, like you're saying, because if I know it's a harmless spider, I will let it hang around and kill the other bugs for me.
Right. Well, as long as we're telling tales of Australia, I went snorkeling with a lady and we both saw a reef shark. She knew the reef shark was absolutely harmless. I, on the other hand, farted, shot right up into the air, and then ran on the water back to shore. And she was like, what's wrong? And I was like, did you see the shark? And he's like, it's a reef shark. It's not going to touch you. And I was like, I don't care. I'm scared. I'm gonna. So yeah, I'm a victim of Red Jack.
See, this is the funny thing, Scotty, between you and Jill. Okay, because I like the idea of Jill with a flamethrower pack on her back, going to the bathroom to take care of the hands. I love that. I want that.
I would use a flamethrower too.
I'm almost tempted to draw
I'd use a flamethrower myself.
But the thing is that Scotty is actually correct, because when you live here in the Antipodes, you realize that the bigger a thing is, the less actually poisonous and dangerous it is, because the huntsman spider, the size of your hand, is the least venomous spider in Australia, whereas the funnel web spider, which is only about half an inch in general from nose to tail, is the far more dangerous spider. And Jill's saying, oh, if it's tiny and it looks like something I'm used to, I'm not going to be worried. No, in Australia, the tinier it is, that's what you worry about.
And yes, that's where Mikey's comment fits a little bit more. If I don't know what it is, then I assume.
Yeah, kill it. Yeah. If you're not sure, kill it. That's what you do. We had the same problem. I'll just say this real quick. We had the same problem when I was living in Arizona all the years I was there. We had to worry about scorpions and black widow spiders that were like as small as my pinky. Those are the most dangerous. But if you saw a mother scorpion or a mother black widow spider crawling around in your bathtub, you'd be like, oh, well, that's not scary, but she does have babies. You would identify it as a female right away.
Scorpions aren't scary.
Babies. And those are the worst. No, those are the worst. The baby ones.
And to back up Mikey, the black scorpion, which is the largest scorpion, which was also used as a plot point in the 1955 stop motion animation film, is the least deadly of all the scorpions because it relies on brute power and mandible and claw strength, just like the tarantula, just like the huntsman spider. So sometimes don't judge a book by its cover. The size can be deceiving.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jill.
Yeah, good to know if I ever do go to Aussie.
Hey, Jill, let me ask you one quick question. Now, let me ask you, since we've been talking about spiders, have you ever seen the film Eight-Legged Freaks?
No, but is that the movie with William Shatner in it, I'm guessing?
No.
Oh, because I know he was in a spider movie.
No, the Eight-Legged Freaks is the one that Christopher Lloyd is in. You have to see it.
And
if you haven't seen any spider films like them or anything like that, go see Eight-Legged Freaks. Rent it, okay?
Well, then which is the one? Okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead and rent it. It's actually filmed. It was filmed in the area of Lake Havasu City, Arizona. And you'll recognize, like, unless you've been to Arizona, I recognize places right away that is there. But, yeah, Eight-Legged Freaks. It's really good. It's actually one of the... Sure. It's one of the best spider films.
Yeah, I'm always looking for things to add to my list for sure. And so Darius Munchausen in the chat says Shatner appreciates flattery as much as a YouTuber. And Franco Walker says, I was under the impression that Weasel Pig was already dead and under Red Jack's control before he got to the planet. Oh, I hadn't considered it that way. And that makes sense because he was, well, I mean, how long has he been? Well, no, I don't know. Maybe he got possessed on Rigel 4. And
I would think
he
died.
He might have got possessed on Rigel 4.
Yeah, I think that the energy that was Jack the Ripper had left Jack the Ripper and then inhabited a different body based on what we see here, how it jumps from person to person.
Yeah, that's a
that he might have done that over centuries.
Right, exactly. But the idea the idea that Hengist has been dead the entire time and it's only been Jack the Ripper, that hadn't crossed my mind. I thought maybe he was just possessed only, but that's an interesting perspective.
And
I think
Frank,
that might be
Frank
true.
Walker does make a great point too. He says he might not be Argillian, it's a spaceport, but he might have moved there from another world.
Yeah, he did. Rigel 4.
Okay, Jill.
No, that's definitely true.
Jill brings up logic. I thought of that as a kid and a teenager and in my 20s, etc. The problem is they established that the murder on Rigel 4 was a year ago. Walking bodies don't last that long without refrigeration.
Oh. Yeah.
So Pig Weasel would not have been a dead body and then continuing on to do further murders without a lot of...
Yeah, logically that makes sense. Unless the energy somehow kept the systems alive.
But Hungry, he could have stayed... Yeah, Hungry, he could have stayed in hibernation for some time.
That doesn't stop body rot, though.
Kind of no,
that doesn't stop body
but yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, that's what he could have done. He could have hibernated in some other kind of host and then gone back to him.
And this is all supposition anyway, but I do like Hungry's point there, and so I like
good point.
It does make sense that he's still
does.
alive. He's still alive, but just completely controlled.
Barely, barely alive.
He's worse than dead.
Yeah,
his brain's gone.
Star Trek. Well, it doesn't happen that often. It doesn't really happen as often as some people on the internet say.
Darius Munchausen makes good sense.
Yeah. Go ahead and read it.
But Gene Roddenberry was a liberal, progressive hippie who took risks and pushed boundaries. Absolutely.
And actually, he did. He actually did.
And if you'd like to learn more about those boundaries, please check out the 1971 Roger Vadim film, Pretty Maids All in a Row.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, he's a sex pervert.
Yeah, he is. But he loves humanity.
He does. Anyway, he loves it.
Dropped the antiderivative Jill dropped F-bomb, says Franco Walker. Yes, I did. I guess bugs do that to me. If Scotty R37 saw a furry face hugger in his bathtub, we know exactly what he would do to it.
I don't think I'd have a choice. The face hugger usually is very forceful and he's on a mission.
And it's rated X.
The way I describe it.
Oh, hey, Classic Comics. Is this before or after he was captured by the Vorlons?
Classic Comics?
The Vorlons?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I am not familiar with the Vorlons. Let me see.
Now for the Vorlons.
Darius, that's a little more of a Friday comment. Snorpoopa says, I'm a furry, but I don't hug faces.
Oh, it's a Babylon 5 character. Or species.
And Darius says, Lady Munchausen would say that no spider is too small to worry about.
Really?
And
I have to know that my wife Suzanne is very good about spiders. She's very knowledgeable.
Oh, are you guys having a conversation about different types of spiders? And I'm not paying attention. Is that what's happening?
We were, but
I'm sorry.
Implied. It's okay. No, what it is that if I walk, like I said, if I walk in and I see a spider, I don't recognize it all because I haven't lived in Canada that long. But she has. She's a native. She'll tell me if that spider is poisonous or not. She'll let me know.
Oh, well, that's good that you have her around for that purpose.
She's great.
I mean, of course, she's great for more than that, but that's when it. Partnership is a great thing.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys work together to keep each other alive.
We do.
Franco Walker says,
"It's brilliant, Franco.
eight-legged freaks on VHS. It's brilliant. And hello to Indie Tiger Sci-Fi Review. Hengist is
Hi,
dead
Indie
long
Tiger.
before Cook hit him. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
that is an interesting perspective, and I think both could be argued. And Franco Walker says, when I said he might not be our jelly and it's a spaceport, he may have moved there from another world. I was referring to the boyfriend. Oh, the boyfriend.
Morla.
The boyfriend.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. When you consider why he's why he's not a misogynist. Monogamous. I said the wrong monogamous. I'm missing.
I thought you said misogynist first.
I did, but it was a mistake.
I know
Strike
you
it from
did.
the record and quit repeating it. Cavatino Caverman Trey says, "Ahoy! I must uncloak and interject. Do not try to smash a very bumpy looking huntsman spider if you just like spiders, because those bumps are baby spiders." Seen one smashed, and the floor was a starburst of spiders. That is terrifying. Oh
That
my
would freak the heck out of me.
Okay, it's terrifying, but I have to interject here. The point is, you're going to be smashing about 10 baby lives, and that's not right. Okay.
Of course it's not right. I agree completely. It's terrifying and horrific and sad.
Because even baby spiders have a right to try to live in a way that doesn't terrify you.
Do you want me to read Charlotte's Web?
No!
Oh, I have. You're gonna. Oh,
Johnny, damn it!
At least 3 of the babies stay behind. Spoilers for Charlotte's Web.
No, don't spoil Charlotte's Web.
I just did. I love Charlotte's Web.
Don't do that. Okay, go ahead.
Too late.
Continue with the slides.
Darius Munchausen says, Gene 100% took progressive risks and pushed boundaries into all kinds of diversity, but he himself admitted he had work to do when it came to women.
And I am of a mind that Gene Roddenberry was but a man. He did excellent work, but his shenanigans behind the scenes are legendary in hedonism. That dude would love Argelius.
Well,
too.
he loved women, but he also respected them at the same time.
This episode and all you wonderful
Darius.
You've totally set the chat off. The chat is like a forest fire of comments.
Yeah, and Darius says, I'll never get used to having a woman on the bridge. From Captain Pike? Yes, from the cage. That is right. Oh, I didn't mean you, number
that's
one.
chauvinistic
Different.
when he said that.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely. And I definitely had comments about that when we reviewed the cage. That is a thing that happens. Yeah. And Pop Culture Curator, oh, it's so great to see you. I'm glad that
okay.
you... Yeah, I'm glad you're okay too. I know you had an emergency.
Me too.
He says, Kingdom of the Spiders with William Shatner. Hello, everyone. Oh, thank you. I was wondering what that was. Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry I'm missing the stream. Medical emergency. Oh, no.
Oh,
I really do hope you're
Bob.
okay.
I hope you're okay.
Yes, sir.
Me too.
Yeah, you don't have to tell us, but best wishes. And everybody's going to say hi to you.
Prayers up.
For
prayers up. Yeah.
PCC.
Yeah.
Hey, JD Lewis.
Hello to JD Lewis.
Hola. Happy Tuesday.
Thanks, Darius. I had to work. I hate when work interrupts Jill. How rude.
How rude. How rude.
Hello to everyone in the chat, says Pop Culture Curator. And Cavatino says, yes, one big mass turned into and around to 30 scurrying a baby huntsman spider.
Oh, my stomach.
No.
Sounds like a xenomorph.
Yeah, no, I've been warned. Now I know when I visit. I don't know that I'm visiting Australia now after all of these giant spider stories, but if I do, I know not to harm the giant ones. Indie Tigers Sci-Fi Review. There's a hunger that never dies, and you're worried about how long Hengist has been
exactly.
Has been a meat puppet.
Thank you, Indie Tiger.
That absolutely makes sense.
And so at this point,
okay, so on that one.
Back to the episode. This is the point of the episode where the audience, although we know already, the audience finds out that the entity that's actually been doing the murder was not Scotty after all. It was Jack the Ripper, who is an energy being. And for some reason, these people who are on this planet are Julius. They know about ancient Earth culture. and so they know about Jack the
Other
Ripper.
Earth synonym, Jack the Ripper.
Mm-hmm.
But a being couldn't
That's what the computer
live that
said.
long.
I just said the computer about that. That's kind of funny.
That's right. It is. You do that very well.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me, Joe. Real does.
Mm-hmm. And Spock talks about other energy creatures that could feed on emotions, and that it's not something that's unheard of, like the Melitus,
Go back to the
which
previous
feeds on love.
Yeah, the Drella. What's his name? Oh, never mind.
The Drella of Alpha.
The Drella of Alpha
Carinae
5. Yeah.
Oh,
Drella
the Drella
Carinae
feeds
5.
on love. What does the Melitus do?
Yes, right.
Anyway.
Electromagnetic field. Melitus.
Fairy tales.
And so this is before Hengist was getting belligerent, now he's just getting outraged.
He was getting belligerent. He was getting
Fairy
belligerent.
tales, ghosts and goblins.
No.
He's starting to lose it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
he's getting hangry, not enough afraid people.
And so Shatner himself admitted that around this point he admitted that he was getting a bit well, this is around the time that Leonard Nimoy earned his Emmy nomination for his portrayal of Mr. Spock, and Shatner admits that there were growing tensions between the two, because he's like, I'm the lead actor here, so I guess he admitted to stuff like this where he would steal lines and things like that. So this episode was a conscious effort on part of the writers to sideline Nimoy and give Shatner the center stage. And actually, this was actually a pretty good episode to give him this center stage, given how great he is at courtroom drama.
Yeah, and as
Danny
we all
Crane.
said about Shatner, yeah, Danny Crane, right?
And of
Danny
course,
Crane.
Yes,
Yeah.
and of course, after the series was over, these animosities were put aside, and the two stayed friends up until Nimoy passed
Forever
in 2015.
Foreshadowing, not that they were aware. I don't know if they'd be aware of this, but this is kind of, this exact moment is a foreshadowing for one of my favorite episodes, Obsession, when we're dealing with the vampire cloud with Kirk. So this actually feeds into Doomsday Machine, which feeds into the vampire cloud creature. And so when you look at it retrospectively, these are three great episodes to watch together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Kirk says, "All right, Mr. Spock, what do we have? A creature without form that feeds on horror and fear, that must assume a physical shape to kill." And then, of course, we get the part that we already talked about in terms of the women being more frightened than the men. But that brought up a really great conversation. So no matter what you think of the episodes in Star Trek, they bring up the most wonderful conversations.
Yeah. So the computer here says 2105, the Martian colonies on planet Rigel 4.
Mm-hmm.
And now they know it's Angus.
And so now they know it's Angus. They're connecting the pieces that Jack the Ripper recently did some murders on Rigel 4, and Hengist was from Rigel 4. So that damns him.
So Spock is so smart.
He is.
Yeah. Where the inhabitants
are
peaceful as sheep. That's what he said. It's peaceful as sheep. That's funny.
The entity.
Wolf of the fold. Yeah.
He said the thing.
He said the thing. The name of the episode is in the episode. Nice.
He said the thing.
Roll credits. Roll credits.
I love it. I love it when the title of a movie or an episode is worked artfully and in a subtle way into the script.
Can I pronounce this for you? Okay. Composition of blade, baridium. Composition of blade of handle, marinite. Details of carving on handle conform to folk art forms. Artifact produced by hill people of Argus River region, planet Rigel 4.
And that's it. That's the end.
Yeah, that's it.
Not
Mr.
the end of
Hangus
the
grows
episode, but
about
the end
2
of
inches
Hangus.
and wears a bald cap. Different man altogether, completely. Not noticeable on a CRT of the 1960s.
Now you said that Kirk. Okay, guys, you said that Kirk hit him, right? He effectively knocked him out or killed him.
Yeah, he's dead. He's for sure. If the human or whatever alien he is, wasn't dead before, he's dead now.
Right, for sure. Because he only punched him. He's dead, Jim. But that's impossible.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Sorry, I clicked on something. Everything's fine.
Red Jack, Red Jack, Red Jack, Red Jack. And the computer controls the ship.
Yeah, and then the computer controls the ship. Definitely.
But this is what we were talking about at the beginning, where they're just using subtle lighting to show Redjack leaving the body and going into the computer, but they're basing all the horror on the audio, which is magnificent.
Yes. And
right.
It's interesting because I've always sort of perceived this episode as being more of a whodunit murder mystery. But now that you mention it, this is an excellent Halloween episode, just with the terror at the end, trying to induce fear.
Right. The creature is trying to induce fear in order to feed on the fear, because that's how it survives, it sustains itself in this way. And McCoy...
Event Horizon, Jill. When you look at the original, the original version with this swirling mass of fire and almost plasma energy, right there. Yeah. Thank you. Right there, it's implying that this thing is not only eternal, but it's infernal, like Event Horizon. It's way
infernal.
It's a demon.
It could be a demon. It could be a demon from hell. It's perfect. It's perfect. It just looks that way.
To back you up, Mikey, if you look at the script very carefully, and I'm sure Jill did, and I'm pretty sure Scotty did, later in a few moments, Red Jack, or whatever else we're going to call it, actually says, "I was there at the beginning of time. I will be there at the end of time."
Yes.
Oh, that is a good point. That is very. I actually didn't zero in on that, having the biblical sense, but thank you for that. And
that's cool.
Of course, McCoy is trying to make sure that people don't become afraid, and so that is the logical reasoning for using drugs on the show.
Yeah, let's all get wasted.
Yeah, but at least there's a reason for it. It's medicinal in this case. It's saving lives.
Well,
Red Jack is a gateway drug.
It's actually very subtle, because I don't mean to go into like old religious history again. I apologize for that. But if Block is introducing it and I'm respecting Block's script, I have to reference it. So I apologize. But going back to the 1600s, one of the things that was always told was the best way to defy the devil is to laugh at him. And they're introducing McCoy constructed happy gas, laughing gas here. And so that is a very important point culturally.
Wow, I would have never made that connection. That's incredible, to laugh at the devil. That is pretty good.
Plus, I like this. Plus, I like this scene where computer's trying to kill him in the turbo lift in the elevator.
Right, the free fall. Right, free fall, out of control. Put it on manual.
It
wants terror, not just. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow, they're about to die.
Yeah, and so they reprogram the computer. Spock calls on a Class A compulsory directive to calculate pi to the end, which of course you cannot ever complete such a task because pi has no end.
You cannot stop me down, Captain. It will do no good.
But also, let's point out that Shatner as Kirk actually suggested to Spock about 3 minutes before, can you provide a problem the computer cannot handle, when they were walking through the corridor. So it was actually Shatner's idea and Kirk's idea, and Spock put it into practice and realized what specifics would be required.
Mhm.
Well, and again, an excellent representation of Kirk's command style too. He's giving everybody jobs, making sure that everybody's doing their thing, so that they're paying attention to the task at hand.
Delegate authority.
Yeah. And there it is. There it is. Compute to the last digit the value of pi, which we know is impossible.
Everybody knows it's just 3.14. It just ends there.
Well,
yeah, but
that's good enough for calculations, but the computer wants to do more, and it doesn't end there.
It's a transcendental figure. He's right about that.
3.145926.
You went too far. You went too far.
All the numbers after that.
And all the numbers after that.
On.
But
it's existential.
Okay, so
and it's infinite. The value of pi is infinite. We know that.
Yeah. And I suppose that this makes sense for 60s computing, but for me, it doesn't really work because the Enterprise is supposed to be supporting calculations for several different operations on the ship at once, or the ship wouldn't even work. So threading or the ability to perform more than one program at one time is how a computer works today. But I may be applying too much of a modern perspective on computing because I didn't really study how computers used to work.
Oh, that's delicious, Jill. Thank you. That's just made my entire week. I'm going to be cogitating on that for at least a month. Thank you.
Oh, sweet. I didn't know I'd do that. I just thought I'd throw in a little computer science in there.
Oh, no, that's got my motor running. Thank you.
But the idea to overclock a computer to do a series of mundane tasks to drive out the entity is very creative and very interesting, and I like it.
It is.
Oh, could I also add, I'm going to harp on this a lot because it's a combination of science fiction and horror, is Spock says transcendental figure specifically, and also Rejek himself is transcendental. He is transcending time. He's transcending bodies. He's transcending what is actually a concept of physical life. And so it is just a beautiful mixing of everything you want out of an episode.
That is cool.
Yeah. No, we'll kill you all, die, make you suffer.
I like how it's still
all aboard your ship are about to die.
Even when it's in Varys or Jairus, it's still Piglet's voice. It's great.
Jairus.
Right, exactly. They just modify his voice.
Yeah.
And to make him sound scarier. Because he's in the computer.
Yes.
That's right.
But it also it accomplishes both.
Yeah, so he jumps into Jairus from the computer, right? That's the first one. And then he jumps back into Hangus because he gets up from a knocked out position on the table there, and grabs the girl.
He's much better.
Die, everybody die. That's what it's killed.
God, you're good at that, Mikey. Oh, Mikey, you were like the perfect Red Jack computer voice. I love it. Keep going.
Okay, deep space, full power. You do it, Spock. He pushes Kyle out of the way, and then he just,
The great John Winston.
Yeah, and
yeah,
exactly. As we said before. You say it this time since I already said it.
Okay, so basically we just see Captain James T. Kirk at his most barbaric, beaming a complete body into outer space. Because we know that the spirit is inside Hangus, but he's effective. Hangus was already dead. We knew that. So the fact that he was able to beam the spirit out there with no atmosphere, no host, nothing to cling to, eventually it was going to disappear into a billion pieces. But because the fact that he beamed Hankus out like that effectively turned him into a judge, jury, and executioner. So that's his Kirk at his most barbaric. You probably never see that again, but
right, and this is the first time they use the transporter as a method of execution, or an alternative to tossing someone out of the airlock,
which is fascinating. But I have to say, because it was already brought up in the episode, I think it was Spock. It may have been Kirk, but I think it was Spock who said we have just under 440 crew members on this ship. So it was a choice of one body versus 439.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a dangerous, poisonous spider. You got to protect your children. You got to kill the spider.
Yeah.
I was going to go with a World War II motif, but you go, Jill. That was
No, you can go with yours too. I would like to hear it if you'd like.
No, it's both. I mean, if you've got something poisonous that's going to kill 16 people in a household, and you're going to kill one living creature in order to protect 16, I mean, sometimes you just got to make the choice, right?
Yeah, and it may not be the most Star Trek thing to do, but what else could they do? I wonder what other method they could have used to neutralize him or imprison the entity in a way that didn't involve spacing him.
But it was time involved. To go agree with you, Jill, with everything you've said on Klobby's channel. Okay, with the Federation can be as civilized as it likes, but it's going to come up to human scenarios where time is of the essence. And it was already established in this episode that if they did not get rid of Red Jack very soon, he was going to take out the oxygen. He was going to burn people by letting radiation in. He was going to control the whole ship stuff. And everybody could have been gone. There was a time limit on what to do, right?
Yeah, that's true. He could have taken over the computer again and figured out how to get around the pi thing, because that was the kind of a scene.
Kirk. Yeah, no, I applaud Kirk because, well, that's like I said before. I gave this. Well, I'll tell you in the review, but essentially, what it meant to me was that Kirk did save everyone's lives, but in effect, he had to make a bargain and kill someone to do it, to save everyone else. So,
Well, we are talking about an evil that never dies, a malevolent murder machine that takes over individual bodies. So maybe, I understand the idea that it's a violent end to Red Jack for sure, but it's not like we're talking about even if we're talking about the idiot nature of, and I just mean this in terms of not being a great conversationalist. If you have a cobra in your house and it's like, well, we have to kill the cobra, that I would have a little bit more sympathy for, because it's just an animal. It's doing what it wants to do by instinct. This is obviously a thinking, evil, malevolent force of nature that is harming everything that it takes care of. And barbaric, I usually reserve to someone who's doing something like overly retributional, as opposed to something that's like, no, we're stopping a monster.
Yeah.
We're good.
An archaic form of.
And I think, and I think at this end part here where it says, oh, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours, I gave them all a pretty big shot, Jim. It's a form of levity because they've just avoided, like you said, probably a scale of mass murder on board ship because of the entity. And now they're all just hilarious and going, oh yeah, I'm just having fun now. I'm stoned for 6 hours. Yeah.
I'm wondering about the come down, if there's a hangover for this.
Scotty.
Well, yeah, so I should have said a more sentient spider then.
Yes.
Franco Walker says
sentient spider. You do not want that, Jill. I mean, okay. Jill, okay, just as a joke, Jill, the spiders here in Australia learn. I don't want to explain that, but there are times where they actually learn and they adapt their behaviors to what humans do around them. So, yeah, if you ever come to Australia, I'm going to have to walk you through it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll need some kind of tour guide for sure. Franco Walker says Nimoy was Shatner's only friend. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. I thought doesn't he have friends now?
It's the Day of the Dove. Oh, that might be true.
Indie Tiger Sci-Fi Review says it also feeds into Day of the Dove.
Yeah, good call.
That's another entity.
He's dead,
Jim. Yeah, thank you.
And as long as we're talking about sort of connections to other episodes, just recently, wasn't Scotty scorned by Carolyn, and then someone screwed up their job or something, and that made him just doubly angry? And so now the believability of Scotty being resentful, not only has he been scorned personally, but also professionally, and maybe he is a little frustrated. Now, after this experience, do you think that he's learned anything? Is he like, well, I don't want to be a Red Jack, so I will just calm down when it comes to the mistakes of others? Is that what we take away from this?
I guess.
Okay, good.
He's already a red shirt. He's red shirt. Don't forget, he's red shirt engineer. So, but he
As a
doesn't
Scotty
know
myself,
that.
we're the only ones who can
You're
wear
still
red.
trying to resolve the part of the story I tried to forget about. Thank you
Yes.
for doing that.
I'm just trying to tie it all back into a bow so we can understand who we're working
No,
with
I
here.
appreciate that. It's true, but I kind of still
That's
don't
great.
believe that he has any resentment towards any women ever.
He
He's
seems
not my
to have
Scotty.
learned.
I love it when Scotty and Jill go into this because it goes into fond childhood memories of Sonny and Cher. I love it.
Yeah.
I hope for Jill's sake that I am Sonny.
So anyway, pop culture curator in the chat says, actually, Shatner and Nimoy had a falling out years later. Nimoy refused to talk to him, and Shatner didn't know why. Nimoy took the dispute to his grave, and there's always a lot of drama around that, and I'm not sure how true some of it is, because I hear those things, and then I also see interviews where they're talking to each other in their old age and laughing and having a good time. So those two things, I don't deny either of them, but I see one that defies the other, and I don't know.
Well,
and I'm sure it was more of a mix of both rather than one wholly.
Well, and
one being more true
and
than
to
the
add,
other.
and I just wanted to add something quick to Pop's statement. What I understood of the relationship was that, and I've seen a couple of interviews that Shatner has given since then, and what I seemed to understand was that Shatner did believe that Leonard Nimoy was his equal in some regards. I mean, he knew that this guy was trained classically. He was very multi-talented. He could play instruments, do stuff like that. And Shatner would say, I could acknowledge that he was my equal and he could do anything. But then at the same time, Nimoy would say to him, well, Bill, you're just you're not getting it. I said, I'm not trying to compete with you. I'm trying to make you understand that we're both unique and we're special, and that's what should keep us together. But for some reason, neither of them understood that. That was just to add to Pop's point. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's unfortunate. They didn't come to terms with that, but I don't know. I've seen some issues. I'm sure they didn't, but when they had interviews together, they put on a good show.
They did. They acted. That's what they're supposed to do. They're actors.
Possibly that's what they were doing. They made me think they loved each other. Impossible by your
math. That's what I thought.
Franco Walker says 3.14159. And Bird of Prey 5 says Krogan math is more precise. Yeah. Hail Kuroga.
Hail Kuroga. Yeah.
And Cavatino says the most difficult equation to solve is the Kobayashi-Maru test. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, but Captain Kirk solved it.
Needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Oh, well, there you go. There's your Star Trek in this episode, even though the method of execution is not exactly Star Trek, but then it kind of is because of the humanity that Hungry pointed out. You want to do the best you can, but sometimes you don't have the time.
Yes, I dispute cheating.
Dalek451 says, hey, off-topic question. Has anyone here ever heard of or played Gary's mod? I just got it, and I've been playing it. Oh, yeah, that is off-topic. I have no idea what that is, but thank you, Dalek, for sharing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lord Thoth.
Lord
Thoth is here. Hey.
Hi, Lord. Yeah, he was actually first. He came here early when I did, and everybody else popped in.
Oh, neat.
And Lord Thoth been for a while. Yeah.
Cavatina says, taking down Cobra is the G.I. Joe way, and knowing is half the battle.
Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe!
Borg spiders in Australia. Yes, that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Franco Walker. Oh, my God. I keep getting this image of dozens of baby spiders flying from a giant spider. Okay, Brinkle Walker says, I think the moral of this episode is take drugs and all will end well.
I agree.
Oh my God. Okay, well, at least, so Star Trek usually doesn't have it doesn't have recreational drug use, but this was medicinal drug use, so that it was a very different fine line here, and they very much had fun with it anyway, and of course they did.
They really did. They really did.
The incredible good mood is just a pleasant side effect. It's not that Bones has a really good supply.
But the really funny thing, Scotty, is when you look at these people, these wonderful people, these main actors of a series we love so much,
yes, of course,
and they are pretending to be drugged, and it's clear that they're not doing it very well. It makes it very clear that the actors themselves did not indulge in narcotics that much, and I think that's wonderful.
I think so too. And I love the fact that they point out that because of their state of mind, they will not get very much work done. That shows that they don't take these kind of things recreationally too much, except of course alcohol, which is a drug, and they do take that sometimes. But
expression is priceless. He doesn't have to say a thing. When Kirk says that to him, he doesn't have to say a word. His expression is priceless. Just priceless.
Right. Right. When Kirk tries to invite him to a cafe. But what I really like about this episode, so I love this part, because even though the crew was drugged to combat the hunger of the entity, even then Kirk doesn't allow them to go to the planet when they're in that debilitated state. And that shows a bit of responsibility, and I enjoyed that.
It is very responsible for the guy not to send the doped up people to the planet where the starship has just been accused of murder. Yes, that was
wise.
Right, precisely. And
Mr.
so of course,
Mr. Jarrus, okay, we found the killer. We totally beamed it into space. Sorry about your wife. And now we're all really stoned.
Yeah.
We had to get stoned to get rid of the alien monster sorry about your wife. But we're all drunk now, so can we come back down and hang out for a bit? Because our work is done.
Killing me.
that's right. They didn't really do much to say about what happened with how they dealt with Jarrus and his wife.
I guess they're stoned too. Like, they're in the conference room.
Mm-hmm.
They were
and
in
so
there.
they are witness to what was going on. Yeah.
Yeah, they were all inebriated. Yeah.
But this is so John Fiedler was Hangest.
Yeah, not like Fiddler on the Roof. I've heard some people actually pronounce his last name wrong. They call it.
I do. That was me.
I can't do that.
Oh, I didn't pronounce it like that. I said.
I know you didn't, but I'm just saying some people have. It's funny.
Charles Bucali, it was Jarrus, and Plier Stewart was Cybo.
Yeah, that was Pilar Surratt. She was a French.
Pilar Surratt.
Pilar Surratt. Yes, that's Cybo.
I mispronounce everything.
Charles, I believe he was in a different Star Trek episode too. I believe Pilar.
No, but keep correcting me though.
Pilar's in a later episode, isn't she?
I thought she was, yeah, but I'm not sure what the name of it is though.
No, just one episode.
That bothers me.
Thank you for checking, Scotty. Or 37.
Oh yeah, thank you, Scotty.
And she's from the Philippines.
Charles.
Oh.
Dear Cop was Morla.
Yeah.
Joseph
and then
Bernardo.
Joseph Bernard as a Tark. And there's Tanya Lamani, and Karen Tracy was Virginia Aldridge. And Virginia Aldridge has actually been, I believe, was actually in an episode of Charlie's Angels. I recognize the name.
Oh, nice. Thank you for remembering that.
She was in an episode of Charlie's Angels. So, yeah, she's been in that.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
DC Fontana.
That's our episode. Oh, of course. I always love DC Fontana.
Looks like Mr. Kyle got demoted to just transporter chief this
I miss
episode.
her.
He
She
didn't
was
get
a
a
great
name.
writer.
Oh, man.
That brings up another irony for Jill. I mean, we got DC Fontana, who a lot of people don't realize was a woman. And then we have these comments that Jill brought up early on in the episode regarding women and you know, the whole psychology. The ironies of this episode make it so special.
Mm-hmm. And hello
It really
to Cam
does.
Cam. Cam Cam's here. Hello, Jill,
Hey,
and
Cam
everyone on the
Cam.
panel.
Hi, Cam Cam.
And been chat, been listening. Good fun as usual. I give this episode a B+.
Hells yes.
Nice, great. I guess that answers that. Shame.
But
Oh,
go
sorry,
Gary's
nobody knows about your
mod.
game.
But go Gary's mod.
Yeah, go Gary's mod. Go, if you like to play games, maybe check it out. Or if, maybe
Cam
Dalek's
Cam
going to
in
have a stream
Florida.
about it, and you can go check it out.
Hey,
Cavatino says, now I am curious about the effects of drinking Romulan ale. That's true. I don't know. Well, I mean, it's probably just the same as it is today.
I just noticed
Franco
says
Walker-
it makes you pee blue.
I missed that.
Yeah, it says it makes you pee blue. I'm like, okay. So that's
Franco
what I was
Walker
drinking on
says, so
Sunday.
that's
what Franco
what
said.
I was drinking on Sunday.
Nice.
Cappuccino says, got some crab legs, butter, and a pitcher of lager for you, Snortopoopus Cuber. Good beer. And so, of course, Snortopoopus does not refuse a snack. Nom nom.
Nom, nom, nom.
And so, what do you guys think of this episode? For me,
go ahead, Scotty.
Well, okay. After hearing the passion that Hungry Boy has for this episode and how it relates to real history behind Jack the Ripper, my feelings about it do change quite a bit, because it does show to me that it had a relation to something historical, and that is interesting. I knew that before, but he went a lot deeper into it, and that was really cool. But you didn't change it much. I just went from a C to a C+. And one of the strangest things to me about this episode is that I felt like it was fairly weak getting to the main Star Trek themes, even though we did find out that it does the one to many kind of thing, but very strong. It has very strong, it's a very highly memorable episode for me when I first watched it. The suspense of the murder was done very well. Scotty being accused of these crimes after I've already seen what a stand-up leader and incredible engineer he could really be made me completely indignant the first time I was watching that he could ever do anything about like this. So I just kept waiting for him to be redeemed, which did happen. Maybe the worst part was definitely any sort of strange fantasy that Scotty has any resentment towards women. I realize it's canon because it happened in this episode, but I just don't believe it, and because it doesn't make sense to me. And I realized that they wanted to build the believability, but I think it could be rewritten. I haven't really had time to think about how to rewrite it, but he already loves the Enterprise, so maybe some kind of drama where he's pulled away from his love for the Enterprise or something. I don't really know how it could be resolved, but I think that there could be a better way. Anyway, that's the biggest issue. But beyond that, it's very well done courtroom kind of drama, and I enjoy that Kirk wants to recognize the laws of the planet because of jurisdiction as a show of respecting cultures that are not his own. And then the main good Star Trek theme of that is the main good Star Trek theme of the episode, is that kind of respect that they show. And also, John Fiedler is probably the reason why I remember this episode so well, because of being a Winnie the Pooh fan first and recognizing that Jack the Ripper is Piglet. And so the episode, while not the best for me, is very memorable for the great performances and how his mood changes throughout the episode up to the moment that he attacks. He goes from being very pleasant, and he progressively gets more and more upset as the episode goes on, and that's fun to see. I felt for Scotty, who was completely horrified at the mere possibility that he might have done this. And making Jack an entity was a neat idea to tie in the history into a sci-fi concept. So while it wasn't heavy on philosophy for me, I still enjoyed it. Although now I see where the philosophy is in terms of where it stands biblically.
That's great. Absolutely. Like this is probably one of the first episodes that I ever saw of Star Trek. And I haven't really, I've seen it a whole bunch. And I remember the beginning part with the fog. And I remembered obviously Red Jack, the funny voice, Piglet. And so watching it again, it is kind of, I think I might have seen it too many times. I give it a B plus. It's fine. It's fine. It's memorable. But I do find Mr. Hengist rather cartoony. And when they do drug everybody up and they're all laughing and the computer is yelling and everyone's just sort of chilling out, it gets a little silly for me, but it's that fun camp of the Star Trek that I love kind of silly. So it's positive. It's just never been one that I attribute too much. And as you said, Hungry, just it's sort of sitting and you, Jill, as well, sitting somewhere just adjacent to Star Trek. It's a fun one-off episode that encapsulates both horror and whimsy. And it is, I didn't know until now that this was a highlight for Shatner, and to sort of sidestep Spock and Leonard Nimoy's performance because of the tensions behind the scenes. But yeah, that makes sense. It's all there. And it's fun, but yeah, it's not. It starts as an A plus, and then when the funny voice comes in, I'm just like, yeah, this is trying to be scary. I get it. And so I've never been touched by it, but I do enjoy it.
Well, you love Death Proof.
This is true.
It is true. Okay, so as for myself, like I said, it took a while to see the episode a number of times. I know in my personal I've seen this episode at least 7 times, at least 7. And I gave it an A minus because over time I understood the situation of, you've got this unknown, the son of the unknown. You're basically going down there. You don't know what the traditions are, but you have a general idea of what's happening. And then all of a sudden, Scotty's accused of a murder, and you're like, "Wow, what just happened here?" And the thing is that before this, we always were under the impression that Scotty's best love was the ship, was the Enterprise. That's his loss, his Scottish lass. That's how he loves his ship, and they didn't think that he would, you know. With that in mind, they didn't think that he'd be the one that would, go out and just blatantly murder 3 women. And then, of course, when you find out who it is, you're like, okay, the bald-headed guy. But everybody was trying to figure it out. I mean, you only had 60 minutes to figure out, who the murderer was. So you didn't get much time, which is probably why I brought it down to an A minus. But the fact also that I did enjoy John Fiedler's performance by far. And I noticed that he could switch ranges, like you said before, Scotty, at a drop of a hat, which I thought was great. And then, of course, everybody else was supportive. So that's what was wonderful, too, was like Pilar and Charles and everybody else were very supportive. But they were allowing Shatner to be the decider, the prosecutor, the defender. But, like I said, I felt bad at the end because I saw Kirk at his barbaric best. I would never have beamed him into space. But depending on what the situation was, I probably would have made that decision too. And so that's why I gave it an A minus. But I loved it. Every time I've seen it, I get an extra thing from it every time. So yeah, it's
Nice.
great.
Great score. Thank you, Mikey.
Oh, you're welcome.
How about
ahead,
you,
Hungry.
Hungry?
Okay, so this would have been an A triple plus for me, but I removed 2 pluses for the Scotty resentment towards women thing at the beginning, which just has no logic at all. I completely agree with Jill. It felt like producer notes horned in on the final shooting script, so I have to remove a point for that, a plus for that. And then there was also a bit of script padding in regards to discussions on the planet. But then you have Spock, even though he had less screen time, this was balanced out by him being more of a laser beam in terms of effect upon the plot. Like when he was on screen, he was tightening up the whole story. And that brings up another plus. Plus, you know, the whole thing about Kirk being the embodiment of law and order on the Enterprise and having to make last minute decisions, that adds another plus. So I would say overall, Doomsday Machine for me is an A+++, but for this, for me, it's just an A+, but it's close. It's close.
Cool.
Close second for you. Wow, that's incredible. That's really great and lovely. I appreciate that review very much.
Well,
and we also, yes.
Sorry, Jill. Just in terms of the changing of the motivation for Scotty, someone like instead of a female lieutenant doing something wrong, what if they had referenced and it's like, oh, it's a good thing we could get Scotty here to Argelius now that Carolyn has transferred off the ship. That would have made it a little bit more serialized. You'd have to know who Carolyn is, but would that have made it that he's like, but maybe that's a little too soap opera-y. I was just thinking on it. And
no, but maybe they could use the romance that he had in trouble with last in the episode with Adonias with Apollo.
Yeah,
that's a great idea, Scotty. That would be a way to cause the drama without the logic,
right? Without him being just pissy about something. He's decided that all women are bad because they can't change a spark plug. And
hey,
not all women, just one.
Oh, right. So, and also we asked the chat what their grade was, and so they overwhelmingly give this episode an A. 58% give this episode an A range, 35% B range, and 8% in the C range. Wonderful. I love it.
Absolutely.
And oh no, I dropped out of that. Let me bring that back up. I lost something. I'm bringing it back.
Perfect.
But so we also have some chat here. Let's see. Cam's here.
Yay.
And see now. All right, we did the Romulan ale. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, Canadian Spider-Man's giving lots of heart pieces.
Yay.
Cute. And those are one of my favorite emojis. Dalek451 says, maybe I should stream the game just to show you what it's about and what I've been doing with it. Yeah, sure. If you're excited about it, definitely share it. And Franco Walker says, he goes from pleasant to being dead. That's a change of character. Franco Walker, you're funny. J.D. Lewis says, this is Block's second adaptation of his short story, Yours Truly, Jack the Ripper. The first adaptation was on Thriller, also by Block. Nice. Thank you, J.D. Lewis. Oh, you know what? I didn't read from some of the book, but I'll do that in a minute. Cavatina is on the brighter side of Tanya Lamani, beautiful Persian belly dancer, is still alive. That's great. JD Lewis gives it a A-.
Okay.
Thank you, JD.
And Canadian Spider-Man says, it's going fantastically well to Cam. Day off today, just planted in the garden, going to the lake, I think. Hope you're well, friend. Wow, that sounds like a wonderful day.
It does.
James says, Brahms had a very low opinion of women until he met Clara Schumann. Oh, thank you.
Clara Schumann.
James Caserta, I only glanced at your comment briefly, and I saw Brahms, and I thought you were going to make a LaForge joke. But
I thought so too. Yeah, James Caserta also says Jill is my Clara, and
I hope that's not a Doctor Who comment.
Oh, that's probably what that. What? I don't know. But thank you, James. Cavatina says, just skimmed an article for 2016, and Tanya Lamani still looks great with red hair while wearing a belly dancer outfit. Nice.
Nice.
And oh man, I do have something else. Oh right, I had some stuff from the book, but I accidentally didn't put it in my. I usually integrate it into my notes, so I know when to talk about it. And so I must have missed my own cues.
Well, and Tanya
Hey, you're a
Lamane
working mom. You're a working
was
mom,
a,
Jill. You're allowed. You're allowed.
She was an Iranian actress, Tanya Lamane. Just speaking to what Hungry had said in terms of the exotic.
Yes, yes, and also a lot of Iranian actresses changed their name to work in Hollywood, and a lot of them, honestly, sometimes, well, no, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. We got to be politically correct a little bit here.
Okay.
But it was Scotty knows what I mean. Acceptably exotic.
Yeah, and the 365 book actually does talk about Tanya Lamani, who portrays Kara, the belly dancer. She was 12 years old. Her family moved from Iran to the United States. Mm-hmm. At that time, she was fluent in Russian and Persian and had been studying ballet since the age of 3. She never suspected that a simple comprehension mistake in her newly acquired third language would have profound impact on her life and career. I was 16, dancing in a ballet show when someone offered me a job in Las Vegas. I took a bus there, and when I got to the Flamingo Hotel, I asked for the ballet troupe. They told me, "Oh no, we don't have ballet dancers. We have belly dancers," she jokes. I didn't know what belly dancing was, and when I found out, I said, "I can't do that. My father would kill me." But I danced there for 6 weeks. And as time went on, the more I belly danced, the more offers I got to do that kind of work in Hollywood. My childhood dream had been to become the next Betty Davis, Lamani recalls. And when I was cast on Star Trek, they said they wanted someone who could both belly dance and act. So I was very excited. They sent me to the makeup department because they wanted to do something extravagant with my look. The first day, they put feathers of different colors all over my face, on my eyelashes, my eyelids, my nose. Then they took me to the director, Joe Pebney, and he said, no, less. The makeup people kept trying to match his vision for 4 days with less and less feathers and pure colors each time, but Joe kept saying no. Finally, on the 5th day, I came in with no makeup, and he said, "That's it. That's what I want to see, her face." After that, the actual filming only took a couple of days. As was the practice of the era, a certain surprisingly innocent part of the body was banned from the television screen. Cher experienced the same censorship on her variety show, as did Barbara Eden on I Dream of Jeannie, and of course, as did Lamani. "They let me do all the choreography myself," Lamani said, "but they wouldn't let me show my belly button. They made me cover it with a jeweled flower."
Well, can I also add that I think this was the right decision because you look at the bone structure, the entire facial structure of this woman when she is looking at Scotty in the opening scene. It would have been completely a waste to cover that up with prosthetic makeup. And I know we complain in Star Trek about, oh, there's not a lot of facial makeup on people and other characters. But in this case, I think that was the right decision.
Oh, I think those are primarily Star Wars fans.
Well, and
But I mean, she is a gorgeous woman, and she did have those expressions. She actually showed that she could be an actress in the initial opening, cold open scene of Star Trek in this. And I would have been wounded if it had all been covered up. You know what I mean, Jill?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, right. When you put on too many kind of, especially when the person is beautiful, it is a shame to cover them up.
Jill,
there was an indication that Scotty and this woman were actually having I hate to say it, a romantic versus sexual connection, that there was something that was really sparking between them, and makeup would have just ruined that. ruined it.
Yeah.
Well, and as you observed so deftly, sir, a lot of the characterization of the aliens themselves was through the costuming. You didn't need prosthetics or makeup or anything to show that they were alien, because it was all presented in the way that their culture was through the excellent costuming.
Thank you, Scotty. Which goes back to the suit. Hello, Pig Weasel.
Mm-hmm.
Jill, when you just
Yes.
referred to Star Wars, the other side of the coin,
Yes.
I think you were referring to the dancer from Return of the Jedi, the one that was dancing around. Then she gets fed to the Rancor.
Oola.
Oh yeah. Well, I
Oola.
was just picking on Star Wars for no reason. It's just that in Star Wars they do have more elaborate aliens in general. They put a lot more into making their aliens seem more alien, more crazy. And so I was just picking on that.
Yeah.
But there was one
Okay.
more thing I didn't say on about Pilar
Surratt.
Stewart.
Pilar
Surratt.
Surratt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah, no
she
problem.
was, of course, okay. So they have something for her in the book too that I didn't read. So during the 1960s, several exotic ingenuous that's the word. Ingenues. Yeah, I don't know that word. Began appearing regularly on American screens, both large and small. Some, such as France Nguyen, who co-starred in South Pacific, and Nancy Quinn, who appeared in The World of Susie Wong and Flower Drum Song, would become widely recognized by the public. But others, such as Pilar Stewart, did not become household name. Surratt. I'm sorry, Surratt. Pilar Surratt did not become household names but were equally busy. A Filipina American born in Malaya, Surratt had a unique beauty that allowed her to play a variety of Asian roles. She already co-starred with Burt Lancaster and Shelley Winters in the feature The Young Savages, as well as in numerous TV shows. From Maverick to Alfred Hitchcock Hour, when Gene Roddenberry cast her. I did say Hitchcock, right?
I know you did. I just thought it was cute the way you said it. It was cute way you said it.
Thank you. Thank you. When Gene Roddenberry cast her in his first series, The Lieutenant, pleased with her performance,
go ahead.
He asked her to appear in Star Trek as Sibo. The lovely Argelian empath who reveals Rejak's presence and pays the price for doing so. Surratt retired from.
Yeah.
Oh no! Okay, that means we're almost done here. Surratt.
Okay.
Retired from the entertainment business in the early 1970s, but her son, Dean Devlin, would grow up to become one of Hollywood's most successful writer-producers with hits such as Stargate, Independence Day, and Godzilla.
No!
Oh, it's okay. Just let it go. Let it go. He did do that.
Stop.
Jill, I am a Toho and Godzilla fan. I did not need to know this information.
With then collaborator Roland Emmerich.
Now Hungry's glad that Sibo is dead.
A science fiction aficionado, Devlin always professed a personal delight in his mother's appearance in the original Star Trek. His production of Eight-Legged Freaks, which premiered the year after she died, is dedicated to her memory.
There we go. It all comes full circle with the spiders.
Hungry. Can I give you 2 words from that Godzilla movie? Matthew Broderick. That's all I have to say.
Oh, Mikey,
no, man, no, don't.
Mikey, I love you, but I know this is becoming a real friendship because you know how to wound me.
Hungry. I just placed my pre-order for Shin Ultraman just to come back to your happy place.
Okay, thank you so much.
If you haven't seen Shin Ultraman and you would like to see a good movie, that one will wash that movie right out of your
Wait, is that the Godzilla where they say that's a lot of fish?
That is a lot of fish.
That is
Okay,
a lot of fish.
okay. The 98 Godzilla, which is not Godzilla, it must be eradicated. It must be burned.
And it was.
Every negative. Okay, Jill, that one is terrible. But what Scotty is talking about, Shin Ultraman, even if you don't like the original Ultraman, I think Jill would like Shin Ultraman, and I can
Agreed.
share the link with you later, or I can do what I have to do to get you to be able to see it. It is a wonderful film. I think you would like the female characters, but you have to be able to just relax in a bath with the Japanese manner of sci-fi, which is different to the Western manner of sci-fi.
I highly recommend.
Definitely.
Sounds fun.
Definitely.
I mean, I love sci-fi too. So, Darius
Jill,
Munchausen asked,
just
"Do
for-
oh yes, I'm sorry.
And Jill,
Go ahead.
just a reminder, you got 3 recommendations. No, that's okay. I just want to quickly one last thing say. You did get 3 recommendations for 8-Legged Freaks, so now you have to buy the movie. You have to get it.
Right,
You have to
right.
get it.
I have to. Three
Yeah,
recommend. It's like saying
You have to.
something 3 times in the mirror.
No, she doesn't.
Said 3 times. I have to watch it.
Yes, she
James
does.
Caserta says, "Imagine how evil Jill would be in the mirror universe." Darius Munchausen says,
right.
"Do Iranian actresses change their names for pronunciation or anonymity?"
Both.
Anonymity. For both. They do.
Cavatino says, "All I can say is that Tanya Lamani looks better than how Martha Stewart looks in Sports Illustrated swimsuit."
That's not a real thing.
Yeah, that doesn't sound real.
Yeah, that's non-existent in my eyes.
Right?
I have
No,
a
that
friend
doesn't
who would
sound
actually be
real.
really excited about that.
I know it happened. That's not real.
Oh,
I
I
don't
would
have
only
to
be
acknowledge
excited
it.
as
I
if
don't
it
have
was-
to acknowledge it.
if it was alongside Snoop Dogg. I don't know. Cavatino was not disappointed looking Tanya Lamani up on Google Images. And Darius says, "Mirror Universe Jill would be an evil conqueror and she would love the film."
No, don't say that. No.
Oh my God. Well, yeah,
No.
no, it's frightening
No.
even to me.
It's a mirror
That's not
universe. I
true.
think it's awesome.
Yeah, right. Scotty would like that, Jill.
Yeah, no, she shows up wearing like the mirror universe uniform and being like, "Let's watch Short Tracks," and I'll be like, "No, I don't want to."
No.
Your agonizer.
Cavatino says, taking a phrase from Shakira, her hips don't lie.
Cavatino. Shakira. Her hips don't lie. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like Clara and Brahms. And oh yeah, Orville Nation. Subscribe to Orville Nation. Admiral Teague says, "Hungry. That's a very
American.
American thing to say.
I get the
Yeah.
joke. I get the joke. Yes,
Roland
it
Emmerich.
is. I am not a fan of Roland Emmerich. Dean Devlin, separate guy. He did some stuff on his own. Emmerich, no. Screw Emmerich. Sorry. Bye.
James Caserta says 2014 Godzilla. Best Godzilla.
No!
Oh, and that's the
Or
Jack Black
Godzilla.
one, right?
Gojira, best Gojira. And then Shin Godzilla. Good job, Godzilla.
No.
Admiral Teague says,
The King Kong was the Jack Black. There was a King Kong Jack
okay.
Black thing.
I
totally
thought
separate.
that was kind of fun. Admiral Teague says the 1998 movie is fairly good. The issue is the monster should not have been called Godzilla. She's way too different.
It is.
Topic. No.
Yeah.
No.
The Godzilla movie. The Godzilla movie is a live-action Simpsons episode based on the cast alone.
At this point, I think the chat is just trying to rile up Hungry.
And I'm trying to help.
Even though I have to leave. I have to leave already.
We'll get back to this on a different stream, not Jill's stream. Do not harm Jill's stream with that aberration.
That reminds me, we'll be watching the 1998 Godzilla this coming Friday. I know, I'm joking.
Damn it, Scotty.
No, but that's a good segue because we do need to talk about what we're doing, what we're doing lately. So what do you got coming up?
Hopefully we're gonna do the Mark Webb, Andrew Garfield starring Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Spoilers: Gwen Stacy dies. And then on Thursday, Jill and I are going to be doing the beginning of the first season of Quantum Leap. Episodes 1 and 2. Third, my mistake. Heavens. we just got back to it, and it's running out so quickly. But yeah, we're doing third season of Quantum Leap and plowing through that.
Well, it feels like that because season 1 was so short.
True. Yeah, it was a short one. But yeah, we get to go back to that, and I'm looking forward to that because it's always fun to hang out and talk about sci-fi soap operas with Joe.
Absolutely. And what's going on with you, Hungry? Do you have anything you want to share?
Oh, there are going to be a couple of streams I'm going to be on later. I think I'm probably going to be on with the Journey to the Center of the Earth stream later today, although I've used up all my energy for this stream, which is fine.
Because that's what naps are for.
This is more important, I have to say. This is more important than Journey to the Center of the Earth. But I'm also going to be talking with Dadman Walking, who is a Clubby adjacent person. He's one of the clubbers. Mm-hmm. And I will be on a stream in June with him speaking of I think that Scotty is a fan of this film, Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black. So we're going to be talking about the virtues of this film and the virtues of Karen Black, who is God rest her soul, wonderful actress. She was in a bunch of stuff, a lot of genre stuff, but a lot of other stuff. And so I'll be on with that. I'll be on King Dolphin talking about the...
Oh, you're going to be on King Dolphin. Cool.
Yeah, the interrelation between prog rock and science fiction based comic books. It'll be a specific topic, so we'll probably get about 5 listeners, but it'll be okay. And that's it.
Well, sometimes it's not about the topic, it's about how you present it. So if it's fun and you make sure you tell people a little bit of the story that you're talking about, then I think people will tune in.
Well, we have to look at the small things as well as the big things. And isn't that everything that Star Trek is about, particularly TOS and the animated series?
Yeah, exactly. The big themes and concepts from it.
The microcosmic and the macrocosmic, right?
Yes.
Right.
And I'm done. Somebody else talk.
Okay. And Mikey, I know you got a channel too. What do you got coming up?
Well, I am so excited to let everyone know, and I'm asking everyone that I know, all my friends, spiders, cats, dogs, whatever you need to bring with you. Tomorrow, Wednesday, on just after 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 7 Central, we are going to discuss everything Indiana Jones. We're going to discuss the movies. We're going to discuss, only briefly, Young Indiana Jones with Sean Patrick Flannery in the role. And then we're going to talk about, to end the night, The Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones 5. And what we think about what we're going to see in the next 2 months and 2 days, or 1 month and 2 days, which is starting tomorrow. The countdown begins. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I think everybody is going to have a laugh from that. And I love to read everybody's comments in the chat. I unfortunately don't have StreamYard, but I apologize, and I'll try to get it. But in the meantime, the last talk we had was called Future Talk, and that was a great discussion. Everybody was there. And so this one about Indiana Jones, I'm so excited. I rewatched all 4 movies. In fact, I got to watch Crystal Skull tomorrow. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's what's coming up. And then I plan on doing other streams myself.
You're there, Mike?
After my live chat went to when... yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. So yes.
Okay, so you plugged your Indiana Jones stream perfectly, but after that you cut out.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And you didn't cut out quite as much as last time, so I was really happy. I'm so glad you're here, and I was able to actually hear what you had to say this time. I was so disappointed last time because I couldn't make out anything, but this time, much better. You're improving.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's good that you're improving.
No, it's a good thing. No, I mean, if I listened to my first live show where I didn't have something completely prepared. I am absolutely terrible, and the people on my panel were the reason why I had a show. But you already have that radio presence in terms of being able to keep talking and talk and be extremely knowledgeable and talk. Your problems have nothing to do with what you're saying. It's just technological.
Indeed.
And I had all the problems.
Yeah, it's all a technical
I even had
thing.
Yeah, I had presentation problems. I had no idea what I was doing. Anyway.
Well, I think you've
And I'm
really
just generally
come
a problem.
a long way, Jill. You have really come a long way.
I actually have.
So for that, we really thank you for. Yes.
It's painful to hear my early stuff, but I did recently for a
But
reason.
what it does. But Jill, what it does is it gives you experience. I've listened to my other web chats when I first started, and I sounded terrible. And I was like, well, is that really my voice? Can I actually believe that people are talking like that? Like I talk like that? So I just was, said to myself, let me just be natural. And the other ones just have succeeded just that way. So I enjoy it. Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good point. Very nice.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I will leave you guys with the preview for the next episode.
Ooh, yay.
Yay!
So the next episode is going to be the change.
Yay!
Hey!
Yay! I really got to run, so we're just going to be really abrupt and go. So goodbye.
Hello.
Captain's log, stardate 3541.9. The presence of Nomad aboard my ship has become nightmarish.
Warp 9! Cut your circuits! Warp 10, Mr. Scott! Impossible! He just won't stop!
Condition red, condition red. What do we do now? Go up and knock?
Mr. Captain.
Helena.
That mechanical beastie is up here.
I felt like music.
What is music?
Keep away from that! Johnny!
He's dead, Jim. Captain.
And so I couldn't hear when the video ended for whatever reason. StreamYard decided to kill it. So I'm going to play.
Oh, it looks like we're still live.
We're still live.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still
Goodbye,
live.
guys.
Okay, bye.
Nadia.